Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Volvo. Here, wherever and whenever you need them. Visit them in store or online. It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good afternoon and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard. The top six will be decided today with St Mirren, Hibs and Livingston all vying for two places. Ange Postecoglou's got a goal record in his sights as they host Motherwell. That's before Rangers travel to Aberdeen tomorrow, and Hearts are currently hammering Ross County. I'm Andrew MacLean. Joining me in the studio is Roger Hannah, Gordon Dalziel and Hugh Keevins.
Hearts have got the day off to a rip-roaring start. They are 6-0 in front. There is a quarter of the game still to be played. There is every chance that Hearts could equal, if not better, Celtic's 9-goal win against Dundee United at Tannadice in August. They have been scintillating. Stephen Naismith last week regretful over the loss to Hibs in the Edinburgh Derby. Today they are motoring. They have 1 goal from Alec Cochrane, 2 goals from Josh Ginnelly and 3 goals from the captain Lawrence Shankland. Ross County are abject. They are proving that next season in all likelihood they will be a championship club. They are rock bottom of the league and look like it.
It's going to be a day of goals, Andrew, I'm sure. Hearts hitting 6. Those 9 that Hugh spoke about, Celtic at Tannadice, part of the 102 that Ange Postecoglou's side have got in the league this season. They're chasing Willie Maley's side from 1915. 116 goals that season. Hugh was there for most of them.
Yep.
Motherwell on the sides of Celtic today. Hearts have set the tone. A day of goals.
I agree with Roger. I think we'll get a day of goals. I think the lads out and about at the grounds today will get plenty of excitement because there are plenty to play for. Obviously that top 6 spot there with St Mirren, Hibs, Livingston, but you look at the bottom, Ross County are in real trouble. Can Kilmarnock get an away one against St Mirren? Full house there at Paisley as well. A lot of great games ahead.
Yeah, I was looking forward to today anyway because there is so much at stake. The final round of fixtures before the split. And early kick-off, Hearts against Ross County, you mentioned it, there's still 20 minutes to go. It's 6-0. It could easily be 10 already.
Yeah, they've hit the bar or the post 3 times, Hearts. Ross County, as I say, are abject. It is an embarrassment for Malky Mackay, the manager, and for Roy McGregor, the owner. If it gets much worse, then they go into the post-split fixtures in a demoralised, devastated state. But for Hearts, what a turnaround in their fortunes. After the Robert Snodgrass story during the week where he promises to spill the beans, you might have thought that they would be tentative today after losing to Hibs last weekend. They have been magnificent.
How many more do they need to get you before they feel comfortable enough to send on Halliday?
Well, tragically, a substitute came on and lifted the wrong jersey and put on Halliday jersey, but was then reminded, you're not Andy Halliday. He's the one sitting on the bench. So had to take off Andy Halliday's jersey and put on his own name.
Yeah, well, what a day we are in for. There is huge games in the Premiership, huge games down the divisions as well, lots to look forward to, and of course we will keep you up to date at what is happening at Tynecastle. 6-0, this is about 20 minutes to go in that game, so lots to look forward to. Let's start going around the grounds. Let's go and speak to the top team. David Friel is at Celtic Park for Celtic against Motherwell.
Yeah, I'm Andrew, and I heard Hugh last night say there's a whiff of celebration around Celtic Park these days, and he's 100% right. The sun's shining today, there's a lot of smiles and faces away to my right, the standing section. I think there's going to be a display before the game too, so I think there's a real feel-good factor. But Ange Postecoglou is one man who isn't organising a title party just yet. His message was very clear yesterday: forget about when the league could be won, forget about Rangers, the Scottish Cup final, semi-final next weekend. Celtic still have a lot of work to do here. He's focused on Motherwell. He said yesterday he wants to put on a show for the fans, and he wants to finish the day 15 points clear of Rangers at the top of the Premiership. Ange Postecoglou said he wouldn't be resting players, and he stuck to his word. Rio Hatate, Jota, Leila Abada, they're all still out. I think Abada of the three has got the best chance of making next week, but Cameron Carter-Vickers is back after missing the win over Kilmarnock last weekend. He replaces Yuki Kobayashi in the only change from the Rugby Park match, and Ange Postecoglou has fielded probably his strongest team available. It's Joe Hart in goals, Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Carl Starfelt and Greg Taylor at the back. A midfield three of Tomoki Awata, Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly, with a front three of Sead Haksabanovic, Stefanovic, Kyogo and Dyson Maeda. Subs for Celtic are Bain, Moy, Turnbull, Kobayashi, O, Bernabe, Summers, Ralston and Vata. As guys were saying, there's a lot of stats and possible records flying about when it comes to Celtic these days. It makes for terrifying reading for Motherwell. Let's be honest, Celtic are today going for 18 successive wins in all competitions. That would be the club's best run since 1966 when they managed 25. They've won all 16 home league games this season as they chase a record points and goals tally, and they've also beaten Andrew Motherwell 15 times in a row, scoring 48 goals in the process. So I think it's fair to say Motherwell need a minor miracle, but and Stuart Kettlewell, the manager, they know he's a man who knows all about the shock results against Celtic. He played in Ross County's 2010 Scottish Cup win over Celtic at Hampden. He was then the county manager when they beat Celtic here in the League Cup in the final days of Neil Lennon's second reign. Everybody remembers that day. And you know, Kettlewell, he's worked wonders since he came in, and if they are going to get in from the game, he will hope Kevin Van Veen is still in top form. He's got 23 goals for the season. He's been absolutely outstanding, and he will be the lone striker today as Motherwell just tweak their formation. They've been doing a kind of 3-5-2 in the last few weeks, but it's going to be a 5-4-1 formation with Callum Slattery and Harry Payton in to replace Dean Cornelius and Mikael Mandron. So Motherwell will be Liam Kelly in goals, Max Johnson, Paul McGinn, Callum Butcher, Dan Casey and James Furlong at the back, Blair Spittle, Callum Slattery, Sean Goss and Harry Payton across the middle, with Kevin Van Veen up front. Subs for Motherwell are Oxborough, O'Donnell, Lamy, Mugabe, Blaney, Mandron, Miller, Aitchison and McKinstry. The referee at Celtic Park is John Beaton. The VAR is Mike Roncone. I'll just recap that Celtic team. It's Joe Hart in goals, Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Cal Starfelt and Greg Taylor at the back, Tomoki Awata, Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly, Sead Haksabanovic, Kyogo and Dyson Maeda.
Yeah, I think the feeling around Celtic, it shows just how comfortable the supporters are and maybe how, you know, the club are in general. That a lot of the chat this week has been about completing side missions, essentially. How many points can they get this season? How many goals can they get this season? And it just shows the good feeling that's around the club this season, that at this point, with, you know, still the split to come, that these are the things that are being talked about. Yeah, and it's been a season of dominance from Ange Postecoglou's Celtic. The league is in the bag. It could be won very early next month. They've already got the Viaplay Cup in the trophy cabinet, and next Sunday is the real big one. Rangers in the Scottish Cup semi-final at Hampden. That will decide whether there's a treble in the cards or not, Andrew.
There's another dimension today, Andrew, because Celtic can go 15 points clear of Rangers. Now, on 18 occasions this season, Rangers have played first and Celtic have had to play catch-up. Now, for the first time this season, it's the other way round. So Celtic want to go 15 points clear. Rangers at Pittodrie tomorrow. Michael Beale doesn't want to be the Rangers manager who started 9 points behind Celtic and then it became 15 with the possibility of it going even higher. So that's the nature of the rivalry. So for Celtic, they want to go 15 points clear of Rangers today, and looking at all the stats, everything is in their favour. Motherwell, I think, are over reliant on Kevin Van Veen. That was shown last week when they lost to Dundee United. So the ball is in Celtic's court. If they don't win, then they've had a bad day. We know what it's like in this part of the world when there is a game between Celtic and Rangers coming up in the not too distant future. Everything is viewed through the lens of that. You look at this Celtic squad today, there's no Ray Hatate in it, there's no Jota in it, there's no Leila Bada in it. How big a concern will that be for Celtic fans? Will it maybe not be that big a concern, just given the fact that when they have rotated this season, they've got on just fine?
Yeah, as a fan, you want your best players available, but I don't think it will bother the manager one bit, because he believes in his squad, Andrew, and he's got a terrific squad, very talented. You see that week in, week out, he makes changes, 3 comes on, 3 goes off, and it improves it, or it keeps it going, keeps it ticking over. They usually get assists or goals or whatever. So he believes that every player there is good enough to start anyway. Yes, I think Hatate getting into the semi-final next week would be a big miss, but they've got such a talented squad, and especially in the middle of the park. They've got guys up front who can score goals now. I know Jota's a big doubt, but for me, I think Haksabanovic is a terrific talent, a terrific player. So it'll be interesting to see. I think it'll be a big ask for Motherwell this afternoon. This could be a long afternoon, but focus will be on next week after today.
And worth remembering as well, Rangers could well be without Goldson and Kent, as well as Ryan Jack, who's going to miss 3 or 4 weeks. So they too will have their selection problems ahead of the semi-final. How much pressure does that put on Rangers if Celtic get a result today? I don't think there's anyone out there that would really think Rangers are going to catch Celtic in any way. No. However, it's all about
the points gap come the end of the season and how big or small it could be?
I don't think it puts too much more pressure on Rangers. It's a pressure situation anyway, going to Pittodrie, particularly with everything Aberdeen have been through in the last 7 or 8 days after the Graham Shinnie red card and all that furore, Andrew. I don't think tomorrow matters hugely in the big picture for Rangers. Rangers season hangs a week tomorrow.
Well, I think there is a huge game in Paisley today as well. I think many people would call it game of the day. Fraser Wisher is at the Smythe Stadium for St Mirren against Kilmarnock.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is game of the day, Andrew. It's a real feel of a big game here. Beautiful day, pitch excellent, fans in already, and even arriving at the ground at 1:15 there was more fans than usual milling around outside, and a real air of expectation from St Mirren fans I spoke to. And when you look at the stats, you say, why not? 9 wins, 4 draws, only 3 defeats in the 16 home games. Kelly's struggling at the bottom, 11th place. An awful away record, 2 points, only 6 goals in their 16 away games. But it's supporters of clubs like St Mirren and that kind of size, no, it rarely goes smoothly. So amongst that fan confidence are a few nerves, because I remember a couple of years ago they only just missed out on the last day as well of getting into the top 6. And of course St Mirren only need a point, as the Livy goal difference is far worse than theirs, but that can mean subconsciously teams sit back and allow the opponents on top of them. But I don't think that will happen. The way Stephen Robinson's built his team, his success been really on a strong back four, real energy and aggression in midfield, and excellent counter-attacking pace up front, with Curtis Main having a great season. But for Killie, they'll have got a lift from that Ross County result at Tynecastle. If they could just find a way to get their first away win of the season, it would just give them a wee healthier gap, a healthier points advantage over County going into the post-split fixtures. But to do that, they'll have to find a way of putting that awful away record to one side. It can be psychological rather than actually formations and team selection. That might be the most difficult thing for Derek McInnes. Dan Armstrong being their biggest attacking threat, but they need more from the likes of Doidge and Robinson, Vassell, the strikers. Vassell, new 2-year contract if they are to beat the drop. So sell-out crowd here. They've actually already given us the figures of the attendance. That's because there's not one ticket to be had, and Killie fans are sold out all of their 1600s, so there'll be a great atmosphere today. All points to an exciting and maybe a nervy 90 minutes ahead for the St Mirren supporters in particular. For St Mirren, they'll be absolutely delighted. The fans, Bacchus is back in the team instead of Greg Kilty, who drops to the bench. Normal formation, 3-5-2. Trevor Carson is in goals. Marcus Fraser, Joe Shaughnessy and Charles Dunn at the back. Ryan Strain, Keanu Bacchus, Alex Gogic, Mark O'Hara and Scott Tanzer in midfield, with Tony Watt and Curtis Main as the strikers. Peter Rominski, Richard Taylor, Ryan Flynn, Greg Kilty, Colin Boyne-Munce, Thierry Small, Alex Grieve, Kieran Offord and Declan Gallagher are the substitutes. A couple of changes for Kilmarnock. Mayo and Murray drop out completely, with Power and Mackenzie coming in. It looks like a 4-4-2 formation, with young David Watson dropping from midfield to right back. So they go Sam Walker in goals, David Watson, Joe Wright, Ash Taylor and Luke Chambers at the back. Dan Armstrong, Alan Power, Liam Donnelly and Rory Mackenzie in midfield, with Christian Doidge and Kyle Vassell as the strikers. Zach Hemming, Lewis Mayo, Gerald Dorset, Blair Alston, Jordan Jones, Scott Robinson, Brad Lyons, Kerr McEnroy and Ryan Alibiosu are the substitutes. And the referee today in Paisley is Willie Collum, and the VAR referee Stephen Kirkland.
Yeah, really looking forward to that one in Paisley. What a day it could be for St Mirren.
You know, a fatalist would look at it and think this will be the day that Kilmarnock win for the first time this season away from home, but I don't look at it that way. I just look at a St Mirren side who have distinguished themselves all season long, the only team in the Premiership to have beaten Celtic this season. Mark O'Hara in the middle of the park, scoring great goals, a candidate for player of the season in among the welter of Celtic players who think that they are entitled to be the player of the year. I just think St Mirren have too much for Kilmarnock and will prove it.
Fraser made a point there about St Mirren knowing exactly what they need from this game. A point would do to earn them a top 6 place. What can that do psychologically, I should say, for the players? Does it make a difference when they step out onto the pitch knowing even subconsciously that all they need is a point?
Yeah, well, obviously it plays in your mind up until the referee blows a whistle, but you've got a full house in there. You've got a big St Mirren support. You heard Fraser talking that you get that feeling as a player. You turn up early and there's more of a crowd about, and you can know it's going to be a good atmosphere. You're right up for it. I think St Mirren would have bit your hand off for this position. They're in a great place at this moment in time. They're playing good football. Their manager's doing very well. They've got a good squad. Hugh mentioned a few of their players there. Curtis Main's a danger as well. O'Hara's been absolutely brilliant for them. And they're playing a Kilmarnock side that's really, really struggling. The only problem with this game is that Kilmarnock are fighting for their lives, and Derek McInnes will be asking for everything because they're right in the relegation problem. But with home advantage, what's at stake? I think St Mirren will go and win this comfortably.
And it is, Fraser's right, it's a match of the day, Andrew. A sellout at the Smythe Stadium. Even Kilmarnock have sold their 1,600 ticket allocation. Huge game for Kelly as well, down at the bottom, particularly when you look at Ross County, the only team below them, losing 6-0 at Tynecastle just now. But I've seen St Mirren in the last 2 weeks. They won at Tynecastle. They were in the game against Rangers at Ibrox last Saturday until that flurry of goals in the last 10 minutes. In O'Hara, they have got one of the most improved players in the Premiership this season. They'll get the job done today.
Well, big things at stake in every single game today. Let's go to Tannadice. Dave Galloway watching Dundee United against Livingston.
Yeah, a huge game for both teams to look forward to, Andrew, with Dundee United targeting 3 wins in a row for the first time this season after hauling themselves off the foot of the table, and they'll be desperate for the victory, which would keep them ahead of Kilmarnock and, of course, increase their advantage over a very badly battered and bruised Ross County. There's a massive incentive for Livingston as well as they try to force their way into the top 6, despite the odds being very heavily stacked against them. Indeed, Livy did get that win over St Johnstone last weekend. Was it too little, too late though? And their away record doesn't make pleasant reading at all for them, with 4 defeats in a row and no goals scored. Hopefully an exciting encounter to come here at sunny Tannadice. The pitch is looking in decent nick as well. To the teams then, and both of them are unchanged. Berigiti in goals for the hosts. Freeman, Aina, Mulgrew and McMahon at the back, with Sibbald sitting in front. Then it's Niskanen, Harks, McGrath and Behic, with Fletcher as always leading the line. On the bench for Dundee United today, Newman, Graham, June, Edwards, Anaku, Fotheringham, Cujo, Thompson and McLeod. For Livy, it's George in goals, a back 4 of Devlin, Fitzwater, Boys and Montano. Shinnie, Holtz and Kelly in midfield, with Anderson leading the line, Bradley and Nubley up there with him as well. The subs: Hamilton, Parks, Bahambula, Pittman, Brandon, DeLucas, Kelly, Guthrie and Penrice. Match referee Kevin Clancy, and on VAR it's Andrew Dallas.
And the comeback is on at Tynecastle, isn't it? It's a penalty to Ross County. They've scored it. Awura Edwards came on, took the ball past Alex Cochrane, who dragged him down, stepped up, took the penalty, scored it. It's now 6-1 with 85 minutes on the clock.
Does it diminish the embarrassment for Ross County? No, it doesn't. It was a cheap penalty given away by Alex Cochrane. We thought there'd be more goals. We thought there'd be for Hearts, but Hearts have declared at 6, and they brought on Andy Halliday, and the scoring dried up.
You trying to say that was a move just to shore things up? Was that it?
I'm trying to annoy him before I meet him on Monday.
There we go. So it's 6-1 in that game. One final Premiership game today. St Johnstone against Hibs at McDermott Park. Dale Eaton is there for us.
Yes, thanks Andrew. I'm here at McDermott Park, where St Johnstone are in for their first taste of life without Callum Davidson after he departed the club following last week's 2-0 defeat to Livingston. Former striker Stephen MacLean is in interim charge, and it could be a difficult task in turning this side around, with their poor form seeing them slip to 9th in the table, just 5 points ahead of that bottom side Ross County. Just 2 wins in their last 10 matches and only 7 goals in that time means it's been a bit of a difficult going here for Saints fans, who especially haven't had much joy at McDavid Park this season, where their last win came against Rangers all the way back on the 6th of November. Stephen MacLean will be hoping for a similar performance this weekend, and he's made 2 changes to his side, with David Witherspoon and Andy Considine coming in for Jamie Murphy and Milker Hallberg. They line up as follows: it's Remy Matthews in goals, a back 4 of Ryan McGowan, Andy Considine, Liam Gordon and Adam Montgomery. A midfield 3 of Cammy McPherson, Daniel Phillips and David Witherspoon, with Dre Wright and Conor McLennan on either side of Stevie May. And on the bench it's Sinclair, Brown, Gallagher, Rudden, Bair, Hallberg, Carey, Murphy and Moreland. And as for Hibs, it's especially a big game for them as they look to secure their top 6 status, with anything less than a win, and Livingston could climb above the Hibbies into 6th. They're riding high after that Edinburgh Derby win last weekend, thanks to Kevin Nisbet's goal, and Lee Johnson will be looking to keep that momentum going into the split. And they're unchanged from that Edinburgh Derby, with Hibs going with David Marshall in goals, a back 4 of Lewis Stevenson, Paul Hanlon, Will Fish and CJ Egan-Riley, with Ellie Yuan, Jimmy Jeggo, Jake Doyle-Hayes, Joe Newell and Chris Cadden in midfield, and Kevin Nisbet the lone striker. On the bench they have Johnson, Miller, Cabrera, Tavares, Hoppe, Devlin, Henderson and Del Ferrier. The referee is Craig Napier, and Chris Graham is on VAR.
Well, that's all set up nicely around the grounds. After the break, we'll be bringing in the top team, looking at one of the biggest talking points in this week in Scottish football.
And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
Absolute Radio presents Tim's Listening Party
with Tim Burgess.
Throughout lockdown, every day seemed like a dark one. So I thought the listening party would be a great way to bring people together. So we played back thousands of classic albums.
Thousands?
I say thousands, it's over 1,000. So we played back over 1,000 classic albums in real time, all together, along with people who made those albums. So it's about time we put it on the radio. During the party on Sunday night from 10, we'll now pick an album to play back in full, alongside the original artists to give us their perspective in the studio.
Tim's Listening Party.
To hear the whole series, subscribe to the podcast now or check out the Absolute Radio app.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Gordon Dalziel, Roger Hanna and Hugh Keevins here with me, Andrew MacLean, on a huge day of Premiership action, the final day before the split. We've got the top team all around the grounds as well, looking forward to all of these games that are coming up. But at this point in the show, we normally bring all the guys in for some of the week's biggest talking points, and this one's gone on for over a week, hasn't it? It's not often that a tackle that happened over a week ago in a game that doesn't involve Celtic or Rangers gets this amount of coverage, but it's what's followed really that is the big thing. It was Graham Shinney's tackle on Jack Baldwin last Friday, not initially even deemed to be a foul, but after a VAR check, Ewan Anderson produced the red card. Aberdeen appealed it, they then lost the appeal, but the SFA also deemed it to be a frivolous appeal and added an extra game onto Shinney's ban. Since then, we've seen statements from Aberdeen, PFA Scotland. We've now seen the written reasons from the judicial panel as well that came out last night. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of opinion on this. Let's go to Fraser Wishart, because I know you've been quite outspoken on this, Fraser. I just want to get your take on it all first of all.
Yeah, well, I think it's been in the media this week, a statement from myself and PFA Scotland about the whole process as much as anything. When you look back to the tackle itself, you know, it was a robust tackle. It could have been a red, it could have been a yellow, it could have been nothing. You know, so I think there's a combination of factors involved in this one tackle. Was the referee was only a few yards away from it as the assistant referee. They are the ones who judge the pace and the sort of speed of the tackle. They can judge the way the game's going as well. And yet it was overturned. So then I think the player has a right to appeal, and you can win or lose that appeal. But it was a matter of opinion. And when opinions split on something like a tackle like that, then I can't, for what life me, understand how a panel can say it had no prospect of success. Frivolous is the word that's been used. No prospect of success, much the same thing as well. So it wasn't a fact, it was a matter of opinion, and an opinion that's split on it. I thought it was probably between a yellow and a red, and I would have said give him a yellow card. Others say you could send him off. I can live with that. But for the panel to come up with a kind of extra game ban, and remember, it's the player's livelihood here, you know, and in a court of law, you don't add 30 days sentence onto somebody's sentence because the lawyers decided to take over a frivolous appeal. Not that I think this was, I think it wasn't. So speaking to Aberdeen, speaking to other clubs as well, players this week, I think there's a move to just tidy the whole process up. I think in times gone by, of course this frivolous was brought in to stop clubs taking advantage of it by appealing so the player could play the following week, then withdrawing the appeal. Now I get that, and that's right, we shouldn't be using the system for that, but now we've got the fast track. It's dealt with immediately. There was no advantage to Aberdeen to appealing. In fact, losing it, they lose money as well. So I just don't get it, and I think it's up to the SFA to grasp this quite quickly, make a few changes, speak to ourselves, speak to clubs as well, and the system can be streamlined. And I would also involve a former player on the panel in the process as well, somebody who actually knows what's going through a player's head, because former referees on the panel every time, maybe just coincidentally, but they're there to give the laws of the game, which is fine. Get a former player on the panel as well, and I think everybody will trust the system better.
Yeah, I think there's an infringement of natural justice here. Just because you appeal, you add another game on for the player. I mean, technically for me, the club appealed, not Graham Shinnie, but he pays the price of another game. It's almost Victorian in attitude. If you come near us, sonny boy, we'll add another game on. You can't run modern day football like that. So I think Fraser's right. And equally, why isn't there, and why has there never been a former player? Because they understand exactly what is going on. I'm not saying that referees or former referees are incapable of judging what endangers an opponent or not, but surely it would be of some help to have a former player there on the panel.
The SFA would then tell you that it's the clubs that vote for the laws, Roger, and if they want change, then they should do that. Aberdeen have said that they want to try and rally everyone and try and make that change. We've seen this type of thing happen in Scottish football before, where a club has tried to get everyone else on board and things have tried to get voted through, and it's tough. But that would be the SFA's standpoint, and they would say, look, it's in the laws, and this is what we've decided.
Yeah, going back to the start, for me it's a red card. Nowadays it's a red card. Before VAR, probably not a red card. But after VAR, when you look at the reading of the rule, endangering an opponent, etc., Andrew, it's a red card. However, Aberdeen should be allowed to appeal without fear of landing this, frivolous extra game. I don't think the frivolous extra game had been handed out to anyone for about 13 months. Ryan Porteous was the previous one against Aberdeen, oddly enough, for a foul on Ross McCrory and a red card, and it was deemed to have no prospect of success. This one has been deemed to have no prospect of success. But it's interesting, the support from within the game that Aberdeen have had, not on the tackle or the original ban, but on this extra game. PFA Scotland and Fraser started it. The likes of Stuart Kettlewell at Motherwell, Michael Beale yesterday at Rangers. There does appear now to be a change of opinion that this has to go. And as you say, it's now up to the clubs. There's an SFA AGM in the summer. The laws are tweaked and changed every year. I think this is one that might well be done away with this summer.
If we have a look at the written reasons that have been released by the judicial panel, it says that Aberdeen's appeal was based on the fact that they think that Shinnie was nowhere near the opponent. They say he doesn't lunge or engage in a tackle, that he wins the ball cleanly, he had his eyes fixed on the ball, there was no excessive force, he doesn't endanger the opponent. And I'm paraphrasing in this bit, but they essentially say that Jack Baldwin's movements influenced the outcome of the challenge. The SFA, in their written reasons, say that it had no prospect of success based on this, and that parts of Aberdeen's argument were unreasonable and implausible.
Yeah, I don't think Aberdeen helped themselves with some of the language in the argument. To try and pin some of the blame on Jack Baldwin, for me, is not correct. He did lunge. He did endanger the opponent. So the red card handed down by the VAR via Ewan Anderson was correct. And I think, if Aberdeen go into this appeal hearing and present a case using the words that you've just used, there was no prospect of success. But even at that, I think it is harsh for Graham Shinnie to miss 4 games.
I wonder who drew up the statement from Aberdeen. What input did Barry Robson have? What input did the chief exec, Alan Burrows, have?
What influence did the chairman have?
Correct. Dave Cormack. It smacks to me of Dave Cormack having led this story. But there are rights and wrongs. It was not frivolous, but the player did endanger an opponent. For me, as I say, it's Victorian attitude to say, if you appeal and we deem it to be frivolous, we'll add another game on to your player. That's not right.
Fraser, you touched on it there, but is there a feeling that this is maybe sort of protecting something that doesn't exist anymore, this rule of frivolity and clubs putting in appeals to essentially try and achieve something in a bit of a cheeky way? We've seen it a long time ago, where clubs would put in an appeal and it would free up a player for a game. That thing doesn't exist anymore because of the fast track process.
Yeah, absolutely, and I can understand why it was brought in at the time. Because clubs were abusing that system. There's no need for it now, because the case is heard before Aberdeen's next game, and that's always the case. I just wanted to come in earlier. There was a couple of points you were making about the SFA, and spoken to Roger and a whole host of other media outlets this week as well around this. Of course, the SFA off the record briefing, talking about Laura McCallum, the lawyer, and Alan Burrows and the various panels they sit on. I've been part of that from time to time, where the briefing will say, but PFA Scotland are on the judicial panel working group. We are one of 20. You know, 1 of 20. And I think what we have to remember is ultimately proposals go through this judicial panel working group, which is made up mostly of SFA people and referees. And if the working group accepts it, they make recommendations to the SFA who don't have to accept it. So it's the SFA hierarchy that make the decisions. So I think we have to be careful to say that clubs can just change. Of course we can bring forward proposals. We've changed an awful lot as PFA Scotland in terms of bookings and suspensions over the years as well. So I think you have to just be careful of that. And also the independent panel as well. It's independent decision, but the people are appointed by the Scottish FA. And for it to be put that PFA or Aberdeen are to blame for not changing the rules here, I think that just points to the fact that the SFA should take control of this. They can, and they should. A couple of conversations with ourselves and clubs, a wee tinkering of it all, and all of a sudden we've got a better system.
Yeah, what are the next steps then, Roger? What do you see happening next in all this?
Well, Aberdeen said, in their statement yesterday, said they had taken the temperature of several other clubs, and they believe there was a mood among the clubs to press for change in the summer. I know the points Fraser's making, he's quite right, but the clubs are powerful, particularly clubs the size of Aberdeen. This isn't, Arbroath or Albion or Alloa we're talking about. This is one of the big 5 clubs in the country. They clearly have the support of the manager of Rangers, another of the big clubs in the country. And if they want to push this with the SFA, they have the power to go and influence people within Hampden to get this rule altered or taken away completely.
Just wonder what you've made of it all, David Friel.
Andrew, I was surprised that Aberdeen appealed it, to be honest with you. Listen, we all hark back to the good old days where you could tackle like that and you could go in and it was crunching tackles left, right and centre. It's 2023, there's VAR, it's a red card every single day of the week. But I was also really surprised that SFA adding another game on. I just felt it was needless. I just felt it created antagonism, whatever you want to call it. And I agree with everything the boys have said in terms of that rule was brought in to stop people abusing the system. Aberdeen weren't trying to abuse the system, they were just trying to appeal a red card. They have every right to do it, so I think mistakes were made on both sides, but for me it's a red card.
It's part of the surprise on Aberdeen's part is that if you listen to shows, you open newspapers, watch the TV, listen to shows like ours, that there was such a variety in opinion about whether it was a red card or not. You were just saying there that you didn't think it was a red card, Gordon.
No, me.
Oh, you thought it was a red card, sorry.
I'm with David.
Right,
I think David Friel hits the nail on the head. I think he's spot on. It's a red card all day long for me. I never thought for 1 minute they would win their appeal. But I totally understand that as Aberdeen's a football club protecting their player, maybe look at that and think, yeah, it is worth the appeal. We think that it was wrong, because there's Fraser, for instance, been in the game as long as I have. He's probably saying bordering on yellow. I totally disagree, but I think it's a straight red card for him. But I do not like the punishment that went along with it. I'm in agreement with the boys with that one.
I think we're quite fortunate though, at the end of a week with angst, anxiety, tension and fury in Aberdeen, the best fixture to calm everything down. Rangers at Pittodrie, 4:30 on a Sunday afternoon, live on the telly. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, Hearts have finished 6-1, therefore the gap between Aberdeen and Hearts is now reduced from 5 to 2 points. Further spice to be added to tomorrow's game at Pittodrie. Will Graham Shinnie be missed? Of course he will.
If you actually just look at the stats on the screen, 30 shots for Hearts, 12 on target, only 1 on target from Ross County, which was the penalty scored by Aurora Edwards. That is a huge victory. We can see on screen now Lawrence Shanklin, Josh Donnelly, who got 5 of the goals between them. That's a big win for Stephen Naismith.
Yeah, because last week after the game against Hibs at Easter Road, it was all about Hearts 6 defeats on the bounce. Then Robert Snodgrass came out and said that he would be at a later date spilling the beans on what happened to him behind the scenes at Tynecastle, and it all looked a bit messy. But they've gone in today and they have played very, very well. They've hit that subconscious psychological gap where you get to 3/4 of the game, you're 6 up, and I am talking about equalling, if not bettering, Celtic's 9 at Tannadice, and then it all dried up. 3/4 of the game, a goal machine. Last quarter of the game, 6 will do.
How much did Hearts need that, given the consecutive defeats they've been on, the fact there was a derby defeat last weekend as well? There was obviously a lot of ill feeling from Hearts supporters towards Robbie Neilson. Ultimately, that's why he's no longer in a job. That's why Stephen Naismith is now in charge. It was a shaky start to things for Stephen Naismith, but this will give supporters and him and the players a lot more belief.
Yeah, Hearts needed it. I think Stephen Naismith needed it if he's any ambitions to get this job on a permanent basis. Lawrence Shankland needed it, and it's him at 25 for the season. I think the modern day record's 31 set by John Robertson in the 1990s. He could get it now. The ones who didn't need it are Malky Mackay and Ross County, already bottom of the league. One of the things that maybe gave Ross County hope was their goal difference. The goal difference was better than St Johnstone, better than Dundee United, better than Kilmarnock. This is a real hit for their goal difference, and you wonder, with the 5 post-split games to come, what this will do for morale and confidence up there.
You look at the knock-on effect today. Kilmarnock are playing, Dundee United are playing, St Johnstone are playing. They'll all have seen that, and that will, I don't know, how will that change their maybe approach or mindset going into today's
It's
games?
an opportunity for Kilmarnock and Dundee United just to put that little bit of a gap there. The only positive you can look at Ross County, and there's not a lot today, to be fair, is the fact that after the day they don't play any of the top 6 again. It's all, in amongst their own group. But it's big Saturday for Kilmarnock and Dundee United. They've got a great chance just to put a little bit of that gap between them and Ross County.
The first Premiership game of the day is done. It was a 6-1 win for Hearts over Ross County. We'll go back around the grounds next.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Gordon Dalziel, Roger Hanna and Hugh Keevins here with me, Andrew MacLean, on today's Clyde One Super Scoreboard. It's the final day of fixtures before the split, well, the final weekend of fixtures before the split, because of course we've already seen Hearts beat Ross County 6-1 today. There's Celtic against Motherwell, Dundee United, Livingston, St Johnstone, Hibs and St Mirren, Kilmarnock, and then tomorrow at 4:30 Aberdeen host Rangers. Let's go back around the grounds again. Let's go to McDermott Park, Dale Eaton watching that game, and it is a huge day for both managers, isn't it, Dale? Because Stephen MacLean in interim charge, taking over from Callum Davidson, and then Lee Johnson, who eased a bit of pressure last week with that win over Hearts.
Yeah, of course, especially for Hibs here with Lee Johnson getting that first derby win, but that could all be undone if they do miss out on the top 6 today. So it's a really important for them to go out and get 3 points, and even more so for St Johnstone. Stephen MacLean replacing obviously Cup double winning manager Callum Davidson could be a difficult task, but it has been a pretty poor run for the Saints in the last few matches. So he's kind of made a bit of a formation change. Saints fans were getting a little bit sick of that back 5, so he's gone for a back 4, gone a little bit more attacking with the team. So he'll be hoping to get some more goals from this team and hopefully arrest that slide and get them climbing back up away from the relegation zone.
Yeah, I was at the Edinburgh Derby last weekend. Hibs won the game. There was a great feeling around the stadium, sunshine on Leith. There was that connection between the players and the supporters. Lee Johnson was speaking after the game about how emotional it was. But what happens if Hibs don't get in the top 6 today?
Well, first of all, everyone looks at Lee Johnson. In our profession, Roger and I appreciate, David Friel likewise, a talker like Lee Johnson. He can talk for fun, he can talk for Edinburgh, but if you're not in the top 6, you've messed up and everyone looks at you. So it's a huge afternoon for him, as it is for Stephen MacLean, the interim manager of St Johnstone. The point for me about this fixture, St Johnstone last won at home on the 6th of November 2022. They beat Rangers. They put a down payment on Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's sacking, but they haven't won a home game since last November. That's a big job for Stephen MacLean to do on day one.
Hugh, I spoke to Stephen Robinson at Ibrox last Saturday night, and he told me nothing at St Mirren is structurally in place for them to be in the top 6. That would really show what an achievement it is. Go to Easter Road or the training ground at Ormiston. Everything is in place at Hibernian to finish in the top 6. If they blow that today at McDermott Park, it is a season of failure for Hibs and for Lee Johnson.
And remember, when they beat Hearts, Andrew, last weekend, that was ending a run of 4 straight defeats for Lee Johnson. Bottom 6, unacceptable. St Johnstone, they have to be mindful of staying in this division. Stephen Brown, the son of Jeff Brown, who has been fantastic for St Johnstone over the decades, they're currently trying to sell the club. They have an American buyer who is interested. But what are they selling? Are they selling Premiership football or Championship football? And if you sell Championship football, your selling price obviously dips. So that's why it's a very important day for St Johnstone and Hibs.
Dave Galloway, huge consequences at Tannadice as well. Dundee United will be buoyed by the fact that Ross County not only dropped points today against Hearts, but the goal difference as well is swung actually in the favour of Dundee United over them as well. And then Livingston trying to get in that top 6.
Of course, Andrew, it's very, very intriguing indeed. Dundee United's tails, as you've touched upon there, well and truly up, following Ross County's crushing in Edinburgh, and also back-to-back wins. They've not actually had 3 successive victories since back in October 2021, but there's plenty of confidence about this place right now that they can do just that, and possibly reel in St Johnstone as well, depending on how they do today. Certainly signs of improvement under Jim Goodwin since he took over the Tannadice hot seat, but one thing that's worth noting is in all 6 games since he took over, they failed to keep a clean sheet. That is an obvious concern there, and you would think that is something that Livingston will want to play on with the likes of Anderson and Newbley in attack. As for Livingston, not so long ago, they've really fallen away, haven't they? Not so long ago, a top 6 place was very much within their grasp, but just 3 wins out of 9 league games for them. That means things obviously are out of their hands. All they can do is try and get the win today and rely on favours from elsewhere. Incidentally, Livy have a decent record here. They've won in their last 2 visits. They'll obviously have to make that 3 to stand any chance of sneaking into that top half of the table.
Fraser Wishart is at St Mirren against Kilmarnock. It's a sellout. We spoke about that earlier on. St Mirren selling out their home allocation. There's about 1,600 Kilmarnock fans going there as well. What's the atmosphere like? How long before kick-off now? 10 minutes
it's really
or so?
building. I hope you can hear it, Andrew, because the Kilmarnock fans are on their feet applauding their team as they're warming up to my right hand side, right in front of them, and it's full. The rest of the ground is pretty much filling up as well, and everybody anticipating a really, really good game. I mean, I think the 2 games this season have actually been draws, so Gordon Dale was saying he thinks St Mirren will win comfortably. I think they'll win, but they tend not to make it comfortable. But Kelly have made it difficult for St Mirren this season, and they've a lot to play for. I think Joe Wright might be struggling, might be a change. The Lewis Mayo is going to look as if he's going to come in, because Joe Wright picked up an injury in the warm-up. It's a bit of a blow, because he's been one of their better players this year for Kilmarnock. But it's all point to a really, really big occasion, and I think some of the importance of top 6 can't be underestimated for St Mirren, who posted pretty bad financial results during the season. But top 6 means that basically 3rd to 6th is up for grabs, and European places, 5 out of the 6 teams that reach there will get playing Europe next year as well. There'll be one or both of the Old Firm perhaps to come back here as well. So big financial incentives, never mind the fact of just the achievement for the players. A huge achievement for St Mirren. It's been 40 years or something like that since they've been in this position. So for a club of that size or this size, it's going to be a huge achievement. But I don't think it'll be straightforward. I think Kilmarnock look as if they've got a bit between their teeth. They must be really determined after that Ross County result. They know a win is 4 points going into the last 5 games. That's quite a decent gap when you're looking at the relegation battle.
1985, the last time St Mirren finished in the top 6. I think it was a 10-team league at that point. It just shows how big it would be for the club.
It's an amazing story, because as Fraser said, they're not in robust health financially. They allowed Eamon Brophy to go to Ross County because it was cheaper to have them pay his wages than St Mirren pay his wages. But this has been done by the sweat of the brow on the part of Stephen Robinson, the manager, and the players, the Curtis Mains, the Mark O'Hara's. They've simply had an outstanding season, and if they do make top 6, to be able to say you did that for the first time since 1985, and you were the only team in the league to beat Celtic along the way, that's a good season's work.
And your old pal Hugh, Tony Fitzpatrick, will be able to look you in the eye and say, I told you so.
Many years ago you told us, Tony.
They all laughed at Tony Fitzpatrick when he said St Mirren could get top 6, maybe top 4, maybe European football for the first time since they won the Scottish Cup in 87. But that prophecy could well turn out to be correct.
Well, we'll find out in the next couple of hours whether they can do it or not. And after the break, we'll head back to Celtic Park.
The fastest goals, the experts' opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Around 4 minutes to go until the 3 o'clock kickoffs get underway. Celtic against Motherwell, St Mirren Kilmarnock, Dundee United Livingston, and St Johnstone Hibs in the top flight. Plenty happening down the divisions as well. Hearts beating Ross County 6-1 in the half-12 kickoff, and of course tomorrow Aberdeen against Rangers at 4:30. Let's go back to Celtic Park. David Friel can give us a recap of the teams there.
Yeah, I can, Andrew. Celtic, very strong team ahead of the Scottish Cup semi-final next week. Joe Hart in goals, Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Carl Starfelt and Greg Taylor. Midfield three of Tomoki Iwata, Callum McGregor and Matt O'Reilly, with Syed Haksabanovic, Kyogo and Dyson Maida up front. Subs for Celtic are Bain, Moy, Turnbull, Kobayashi, Bernabe, Summers, Ralston and Vata. Motherwell looks like a 5-4-1 formation. Liam Kelly in goals, Max Johnson, Paul McGinn, Callum Butcher, Dan Casey and James Furlong along the back. Blair Spittle, Callum Slattery, Sean Goss, Harry Payton in midfield with Kevin Van Veen up front. Subs for Motherwell are Oxborough, O'Donnell, Lamie, Mugabe, Blaney, Mandron, Miller, Aitchison and McKinstry.
What's the atmosphere like at Celtic Park today, David? Is it a bit of a party atmosphere, just given the gap in the league table at the moment and how many games there are left of the season?
Yeah, I think so. It's certainly building, the noise and colour. It's a perfect day for football, Andrew. You know what the weather's been like this week, and yeah, things are definitely building up here. 6 games to go, they're about to go 15 points clear, and I said earlier on, if they make it 18 successive wins, that's one better than Brendan Rodgers' Invincibles managed. So there's all these side missions, as you say. There's also some personal stuff at play. Kyogo, he's only 1 goal away from hitting the 50 goal mark. If he does it today, he'll have done it in 76 games, and I think there's only 8 Celtic players have actually done it quicker than him. To put that in perspective, I think it took Henrik Larsson 83 games, Odsonne Edouard 112 games, so it shows how lethal Kyogo has been. Just as an aside, he's played 5 times against Motherwell in his Celtic career and he scored 5 goals, so that doesn't bode well for Stuart Kettlewell's side today. I also said personal things. Big chance for Matt O'Reilly again to stake a claim for next week. Tomoki Iwata, not so long ago it was Rio Hatate and Alan Moy in those positions. Hatate's injured, Moy's kind of dropped out of things as well, so O'Reilly and Iwata have got the shirts just now. It's up to them to keep them, and also with so many wingers injured, you've got Syed Haksabanovic starts again. He's a bit of a disrupted season, but he's always impressed, and he's got a chance to, I think he'll start in the right wing today to really nail down a place ahead of the game next week as well. Obviously doubts over Jota, Leila Bada and James Forrest, so huge day for Celtic. So much at play in terms of league, so much at play in terms of personal stuff, and the atmosphere is certainly building here now.
On the other side of things, if Motherwell are hoping to get a result today, they'll be needing their man in form, Kevin Van Veen, to step up to the plate.
Yeah, I said last week it was all about the Kevin Van Veen show. He's got 23, I think he scored in his last 5 games. Ange Postecoglou yesterday name checked him, he's been outstanding. Greg Taylor did the same. Look, he's a serious player, he's a serious talent, he always has been, and he'll fancy his chances today. He'll be up against Carter Vickers and Starfelt, 2 good defenders, but I think if Motherwell can get some service to him, which won't be easy, he can certainly go and cause Celtic problems. It certainly won't be lacking in confidence. You know what he's like, he always backs himself against any team, so it'll be interesting to see how he does, because people have been speaking this week, Andrew, about how he is a player of the year candidate. I totally agree. I think for Kevin Van Veen to hit 23 goals so far with 6 games to go for Motherwell is an outstanding achievement, and he will be a big danger to Celtic today.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements. Buy now, pay nothing till 2024.
Yeah, just about to get underway in these 3 o'clock kickoffs, and as we do, time to get the predictions. Let's go, Hugh. What have you got for us?
Celtic to beat Motherwell, St Mirren to beat Kilmarnock, Dundee United to beat Livingston, St Johnstone and Hibs a draw. So that's my shout.
Roger.
Celtic will win to go 15 points clear. St Mirren will win to make history and get in the top 6. Hibs will win at Perth to do likewise and get in the top 6. Dundee United will get another victory to put a little bit more distance between them and Ross County at the bottom.
I'll mix up a little bit. I like to do that on a Saturday. Celtic to win, St Mirren to win, Dundee United to win, St Johnstone to win and Hearts to win.
There we go, and I will need to take your word for it because I didn't note any of those down, so you can just cheat if you want. There you go. It's alright, the producers have it here. It's all good. There we go. Okay, there we go. We go, some honesty there from Hugh.
Show a game, Hugh, don't worry about it.
I won beat the pundit last night. I'm the only pundit to win this week. I want your due respect.
And listen, a big afternoon, not just in the Premiership, up and down the country. What about Dundee going to Inverness off the back of Queen's Park, dropping more points at Ayr last night? Clyde could relegate Peterhead. That would make Jim Duffy's run down from Balmoor all the sweeter tonight. And Stirling Albion could win League 2 this afternoon. I think that's where Gordon Duncan is away cheering on his brother-in-law Jack Leach to get a title. And we're not done yet, Hugh, because the Highland League title will be decided a head-to-head at Victoria Park between Buckie Thistle and Brechin City.
Where do you think Wilson is?
And that's, well, listen, he can.
Where do you think Wilson is?
Where else could he be?
He phoned me this morning travelling up there.
Yeah.
He's went back to the charity shop, got his tracksuit. He's got it on proudly.
Are we 100% sure he's not in the Buckie end?
Well, he could be on the Buckie. I'm not sure he's in the Buckie end. He'll be there too.
He was on the Buckie when he was a manager.
He'll have the black and red trackie on again, and he'll be shouting, "Come on, the hedge man."
Please drink responsibly, Mark Wilson, wherever you are, whatever you're doing today. But yes, there we go. We are underway for the 3 o'clock kickoff. Looking forward to the day. There's lots of good action, and it's a really good advert for the split, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The only possible hope I can offer Motherwell at Celtic Park is if you looked at Arsenal playing Southampton in the English Premier League last night. Southampton 3-1 up at one stage. Alright, it finished 3-3, but Ange Postecoglou would never ever say this match is unwinnable by the opposition, so he'd be sending his players out to be careful. But you're right about the split. This is what it was meant to create. It was meant to create final day uncertainty, and that's what we have in abundance.
And sometimes we complain about the quality of the football up here, Hugh, but you can't at all criticise a lack of drama, because this day, you know, you're saying it's a manufactured drama, if you like, this top six split, but people buy into it. Look at the crowd at the Smiza Stadium this afternoon. Hibs will have taken a big crowd to Perth because they want into the top six. And let's not quite, I know I've counted them out, the losing at Tannadice, but what about Livy? They were denied it in the final seconds by Ricky Lamy a year ago. Could they win at Tannadice and then profit when somebody else slips up?
An early goal for Morton, 1-0 up against Wraith Rovers. Alex King with the goal just 2 minutes into that game.
I've got to say, Andrew, just looking at it, Motherwell, what a start they've got off to. Van Veen down that right hand side. If we can get service to him today, could cause Celtic problems. Force the first corner of the game. It's all Motherwell.
If you have subconsciously clocked off rather than clocked on, then Motherwell will punish you, and Joe Hart's had to make a couple of saves, but they're still in there, Motherwell, but they've shot over the bar.
Yeah, before there are any goals in the top flight, let's do this.
The first half teaser.
With the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Now, this could not be any simpler. Tell me the last 8 players to score a hat-trick in a league match. Quite simple. Who are the last 8 Celtic players to score a league hat-trick?
There we go. That's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Nice, easy one to understand. Name the last 8 Celtic players to score a league hat-trick. Get your answers in, all in one tweet, please, at Clyde SSB, and we'll see if you can get on the leaderboard at half time. That one, that's an easy one, I would say. That's alright, that's not too bad. Just having a look at the...
You read my mind, just put them down. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking.
There we go. Have you got
put the next
a few
one
names already?
No, we're flying here.
Okay.
Put the next one I'm thinking.
We'll go through some wrong answers in a while, but there you go. Name the last 8 Celtic players to score a league hat-trick. You can tweet us at Clyde SSB. As I say, all the answers in one tweet. Just had a picture in from Dave Galloway of a display in the United stand. Don't worry, it's not a picture of his wimpy meal, that is. Which he normally loves Dingwall, doesn't he? He's going to be devastated, isn't he, if Ross County go down. It's just a display in one of the Dundee United stands. There's big flags, orange and black. It looks a good atmosphere there. I also saw somewhere that I think there's going to be St Johnstone fans having a display sort of dedicated to Callum Davidson, which is not something you see very often, you know, a tribute to a manager that's just been sacked, but it shows the feeling that the supporters still have towards Callum Davidson and what he achieved in his time in charge.
I feel sorry for him for this reason. He won 2 cups and became the most successful St Johnstone manager ever when nobody could see them play because it was during the pandemic. But when he was toiling, everyone could see him play. And he had a playoff last season to stay in the division, and St Johnstone, unfortunately for Callum, were sleepwalking towards trouble this season. So I think, in actual fact, well, there's a great deal of public sympathy for Callum, I think it's understandable that the club made a change. I think they've waited a long time to do it. They should have done it earlier. But he will go with something on his CV that I would guess will never be beaten by any St Johnstone manager. 2 cups.
Well, a couple of early chances in Paisley. David Watson with a flick that went straight at Trevor Carson, and then Carson kicked it long to Tanser. His cross scrambled behind by Taylor. There's been an effort for Celtic. Callum McGregor curling one over from 22 yards. St Johnstone had a free kick at the edge of the Hibs box as well. That one straight into the wall though and cleared away. So some early action as well. There was, of course, as you say, an early chance for Motherwell. It was a Kevin Van Veen low cross that was just booted away by Joe Hart.
I'm loving this guy beside me. What a delight to work with Roger Hannah.
I've actually thought that's actually a bit unfair, because normally it's you and Mark Wilson that have the first half teaser and the two of you are working it out, and now you've got Roger
everything
Hannah
I'm saying to him. I'm nodding in approval as he looks at me writing them down. We've just got this.
We're just in the same wavelength.
That's it. That's exactly the words I'm looking for.
Uncanny.
It is uncanny. You're writing them, I'm nodding. It's teamwork.
And listen, I know your thoughts are elsewhere. Your former Manchester City team in an FA Cup semi-final this afternoon, Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Paul Heckingbottom, the former Hibs manager, Stuart McCall.
A mixed emotions there, Roger, because that was my first ever club. I went down to Sheffield United, and they offered me a massive deal to sign, but just bigger clubs were in the waiting. So I decided to go. I was down there with Sidney Devine's son at the time. Right. That was my claim to fame. And
8 minutes past 3.
Yeah, already made it about himself. There we go. He's made an FA Cup semi-final all about himself. So why aren't you down there with your half and half scarf? You should be down there.
Because I'm in here entertaining the listeners. That is one true fact.
You'll be comparing yourself to Erling Haaland.
Well, I tell you,
done that.
Yeah. Well, I would like to play with him.
He's rubbish.
I would like to play with him. My pace can down the wing. I think we could strike up a good partnership. Me, him, Grealish.
Palmerston Pep's doing it again. Queen of the South 1, Montrose 0. Jack Bryden with the goal. They have been in very good form.
Too late for a playoff push, do you think?
Oh yeah, just
they weren't in good form last week.
Yeah, that is true. There's been a goal for Falkirk as well. That's a big one in League One, because the fight for playoff places there is huge. Alloa in the mix, Falkirk in the mix, Airdrie in the mix as well. It's a goal for Falkirk though, away at Alloa. Brad Mackay with the goal 9 minutes in.
Well, that helps the Palmerston Pep, because Alloa currently are situated in the final promotion playoff place in League One, so it would keep Queen of the South in the fight.
Yeah, that certainly is an exciting league. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on at the moment,
and most of it coming from Motherwell at Celtic Park, who they've listened all week to people talking about records, goal scoring records, points records, and they've come out and they have gone at Celtic. So commendable on the part of Stuart Kettlewell, the manager.
Yeah, a bit of Celtic pressure now, but Motherwell defending that well at the moment.
I see Rangers women's team into the Scottish Cup final this afternoon, Andrew. 2-0 win against Motherwell.
Huge weekend for the Women's Scottish Cup. Rangers 2, Motherwell 0 in the half 12 kick-off today. It's then back to Hampden tomorrow. It is historic for the competition as well, because it's the first domestic women's matches that are taking place at the National Stadium. So Celtic against Glasgow City tomorrow, so it'll be between those two to see who plays Rangers in the final. But good to have those matches at the National Stadium, Hugh.
Yeah, change days. I mean, I look at my own granddaughter playing football in Brighton now. So she and her brother, it's a race to get ready on a Saturday morning to go off and play for their respective teams.
And come on, I need to ask you, you need to be honest. 4:30 tomorrow.
Yep.
Shea Keevins.
Yep.
The big telly. You've got the remote control in the hand.
Yep.
Is it Aberdeen Rangers, or is it Brighton Man United in the other semi-final?
Well, I'm going to watch Aberdeen Rangers because my nerves wouldn't take Brighton against Man United, because they've already made up their minds that Man United were so bad against Sevilla in midweek that Brighton will win this in a canter. And I'm having to tell them, I'm having to be the Grinch. And tell them
I was going to say you could have a 2-screen setup with them both on, but I would not want to be the person trying to guide you through how to do that.
I told you,
absolutely not.
On the microwave it says press start and don't do anything else.
I can associate with the other semi-final as well, Hugh.
Yeah.
I played my last ever game for Manchester City in the famous blue at Brighton.
Yep.
I was that bad, I think it subbed after about 20-30 minutes. Big Billy had enough of me. Off you come, son. Made me go up the road and mow car and everything. That was it. Career over.
Well, David Friel says that Kevin Van Veen definitely up for this one today as Albion Rovers take the lead against Stenhousemuir. 1-0 up for them in League 2.
Huge win. They need that bottom of League 2. They don't want to go into a playoff, Andrew, against either Spartans or the winner of the Mark Wilson game today, Bucky and Brecon.
Yeah, that is an exciting one, isn't it? Bucky against Brecon.
Yeah. And Daz was saying to me in the car on the way in that he was furious. He was in the studio today. Had he not had a shift in here, that's the game he would have gone to up to Victoria Park.
I know we should have sent you there for Super Scoreboard. Could have given us live updates.
I would have loved you to even ask that question. You know the answer you would probably get.
If you'll indulge me a minute, another big result has come in. The 2008 West of Scotland Cup semi-final. Glenvale, a team coached by my own son Mark, 1, St Cadoc's 0. The boys are into the final. I believe they take on Caledonian Braves in the West of Scotland Cup final. They're all listening to Super Scoreboard.
There we go. Congratulations.
After the game. Well done, boys.
Well done indeed.
I have to burst your bubble. Of your 8 answers, you've got 1 wrong.
Roger.
We will do some wrong answers soon. There is a Celtic penalty claim. Haksabanovic goes down, but John Beaton not interested. A big chance for St Johnstone as well. David Marshall's pass intercepted by Dre Wright. Drove it into the box, but that shot was saved by Marshall. And at Tannadice, play going from end to end. Not much happening though, says Dave Galloway. Nervy stuff at the moment between the two teams, as you'd expect with so much on the line in all of these matches. Doesn't seem to be too many chances after those first couple at St Mirren against Kilmarnock. What an atmosphere it'll be though in Paisley. But will it be nervy now though?
Do you know what? I have to commend 1,600 people who bought tickets to see Kilmarnock, following on from last weekend's display against Celtic, where Kilmarnock were abject as Ross County were today. But 1,600 people have taken the time and spent the money. And the St Mirren crowds are terrific. It shows that you can grow a crowd by eliminating the Celtic and Rangers fans from your ground and encouraging your own fans to go. St Mirren have proved that can be made successful, as Motherwell before them did.
Yeah, there's so many factors about why this would be big for St Mirren if they finished in the top 6. Financial is obviously one of them. The fact that, we've seen that a successful season is getting more fans in the ground as they have a good chance. Alex Gogic headed Scott Tanzer cross over the bar, probably should have hit the target there. But the good feeling around the place, the fact that they've sold out today, and Stephen Robinson talked about hoping that a ceiling top 6 can maybe help put things in place to secure more top 6 finishes going forward.
Yeah, and I think he's put out contract offers already to the likes of Curtis Main, who has been terrific for them, Charles Dunn as well, who has really kicked on for them this season.
Jay Henderson and Lewis Jameson, some youngsters as well.
Yeah, and you know yourself, if you get into the top 6, you mentioned it earlier, you'll get another visit from one of the old firm, you get visit from Hibs or Hearts or Aberdeen or whatever. Good games, good home crowds, bit more money coming in terms of prize money than you probably budgeted for, Andrew. So it'll help Stephen Robinson bolster his squad for next season. But you wonder, at a time when Aberdeen don't have a manager beyond the end of the season, Hearts the same, Dundee United the same, you wonder if some of these clubs are looking at Stephen Robinson, given the job he's done for both Motherwell, taking them to 2 cup finals, and St Mirren, taking them into the top 6.
Is he going to have to then take the players again with him, gone from Motherwell to St Mirren? Some of them were at Morecambe as well. They'll then have to go to the next club as well.
Well, listen, you never know. It's worked for them so far.
Very true. Alloa 0, Falkirk 2. Kai Kennedy with the goal. He's been hitting a good bit of form in the last few weeks. They're now 2-0 up away to Alloa. That would be a big result for them, and a bad one for Alloa as they look to try and hold on to that playoff place.
I'm surprised we've not got anything in the Premier League yet. I thought we'd get
not a single
a
goal.
lot of.
Is it just one of these nervy days though? Is that it? It's all a bit tentative out there.
It could be, but I just think with the sun shining, the pitches in good nick, I was expecting floods of goals coming in.
Big week for Falkirk, 2 ups, a good start. Remember, we talk about the Old Firm Cup semi-final. Falkirk in the other semi-final Saturday lunchtime against an on-form Cally Thistle team. So John MacLean will look for them to get a decent win today to lift confidence. Yeah,
and that's the type of game as well that every single player will be hoping that they are in the best form possible today, in the hope of securing a place in the starting lineup.
Well, you know my belief, Andrew. I believe that whoever wins that game between Inverness, Cally and Falkirk will be the losing finalist in the cup final against Celtic or Rangers. But you want to be there if you're a Cally Thistle player who, they've started to really pick up in that championship. They could have a big afternoon today against Dundee. and Falkirk. The 2 divisions beneath Celtic or Rangers. Mission impossible, but they're going to give it a very good try.
If Inverness win today, they're a point off the top.
Yeah.
7 straight wins it would be, Hugh.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to win that championship?
No.
It's quite something, isn't it, over the past few weeks, what we've seen. Teams at the top dropping points. Queen's Park and Ayr United drawing last night. It looks as if it potentially clears the path for Dundee, but will they pick up the points? Because there's no team has really strung together a run of results.
Runner?
I think you'd have to say so, yeah.
They've found a bit of form under Chris Doolan, so you're right. It's sort of you wouldn't be sitting there going, my last 50p is on the winner of that and pick one, because it's so tight.
Does it prove, Gordon, and you've managed in the division, does it prove that it's fantastically competitive, or they're all the same?
I think the big difference in the championship's always been for me, Hugh, a goal scorer.
I'll stop you there because we've got one of these.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Dundee United 1, Livingston 0, and that is not what Livingston wanted at all as they look for a place in the top 6. It was a goal from Jamie McGrath. It was a Devlin shot on the angle a few yards out. Oh, sorry, that was a few minutes before. It was a Jamie McGrath shot from outside the box. After the ball went up to the other end of the park, it was drilled low and hard into the net, and Dundee United have a lead at Tannadice.
McGrath has done wonders for them of late. The scorer of the penalty that beat Hibs at Tannadice held his nerve at the very end there. So I just had a feeling, I said it last night on the programme, I had a feeling that of all the clubs at the bottom, I was most confident in Dundee United. It could be a big afternoon for Jim Goodwin.
Just before that as well, Queen of the South, Jack Bryden scored earlier on, sent off, and a penalty for Montrose that Rory McAllister stepped up and scored. So
1-1.
Marvin Bartley has a lot to do, because it's now 1-1 and they're down to 10 men with only 16 minutes of the game gone. And we've got another one of these in the Premiership.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 1, and what a huge goal that could be, because Liam Donnelly has scored. He's put Kilmarnock ahead in Paisley. All St Mirren need is a draw from this game to secure their top 6 place, and at the moment they find themselves behind.
But also Jamie McGrath's goal has put Livingston behind. Livingston can only get past them with a win. So would it be very St Mirren-y of St Mirren to create history while losing at home to a team who can't win away from home?
Yeah, it was great work by Kyle Vassell. He put Donnelly through, and a good left-footed finish from Liam Donnelly. Probably not the person you'd have put money on to score the goal in that game, but he's got it. To be fair, he went through a really good purple patch. Was it in Motherwell at the start of one season where he got a lot of goals?
Remember a couple of weeks ago. But think of Malky Mackay, Hugh, your old pal.
Yeah,
he would get into that dressing room thinking things can't get any worse today. We've just been beaten 6-1 in front of the TV cameras. They've just got a lot worse because the two teams directly above them, Dundee United and Kilmarnock, are now both winning.
Yeah, that's what you call a good day.
Today's one of these days where you need an as it stands table.
Yeah,
that's the necessity for today, because there's going to be a lot of changes going on in the top flight, and I'm looking forward to seeing the twists and turns. Will there be fans in the ground with the radios to their ears listening?
Yeah,
it's a bit old fashioned now, isn't it? They're just going to go flashes on their phone.
Well, yeah, but it comes to the same thing. That everyone will be now interested in what's happening at Tannadice or in Paisley or Perth, and so we have what we expected to get out of today. We have surprises, Kilmarnock being a goal up. We have Hearts taking 6 off Ross County, and it could and should have been 10. And Celtic can't score against Motherwell, who have looked enterprising all day long, on a day when we were talking about which goal scoring record would Celtic beat. Would it be Willie Maley's? Would it be Jock Steins? Would it be Brendan Rodgers? And they can't score.
I think it's a good
this
day
for a goal, by the way. Queen of the South 2, Montrose 1. Stephen Hendry puts Queen of the South back ahead, despite the fact they're down to 10 men against Montrose.
Good comeback for them. But I'm looking at this Premier League and I'm thinking, if you're St Mirren and Hibs today, I think you've got a comfort blanket there. The fact that I don't think Livingston can. get anything at Tannadice. They're already a goal down as well. Dundee United are starting to find a bit of form. So,
and remember, Livy need to win. A draw is no good with their goal difference. Livy need to win to have any chance, and they're one down. I think St Mirren and Hibs, despite the fact that St Mirren are losing, I think they'll be quite comfortable.
Yeah, Stephen Robinson was saying earlier on, they won't be looking at results elsewhere. They'll just be fully focused on what's happening at their game. But will there be other people in the St Mirren bench that'll be giving updates?
That one game at a time scenario, we won't be listening to. It's what we can do. It's all the same cliches for years. Change it, mix it up a bit.
I'll tell you what, Maeda has just tried to convert a cross, and he's gone into the post, and he's banged his shoulder, and he's in pain. It's not what Celtic want to hear or see.
Cross from Alistair Johnson. It was low. It was arriving at the back post at speed. Dalziel and Maeda sort of flew in to try and get a touch on it, crashed into the post, but he's up and he's okay and he's good to go.
Very brave, and he did take a real sore when he's back up. The corners coming in for Celtic, but at a time when Jota and Lialabada are both doubts for the semi-final, James Forrest is definitely out of the semi-final. I think the last thing Ange Postecoglou would need would be another injury to a wide man.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of Celtic fans turning up just expecting them to get the win today, but the one thing that they'll be keeping an eye on is hoping that there won't be any injury issues, no players going off, that potentially they can maybe get a couple of goals ahead and rest some players as well.
Or Cameron Carter-Vickers, everyone knows that he could possibly be having an operation either before the end of the season or at the end of the season, and Ange Postecoglou yesterday saying if he comes through the game against Motherwell, then he plays against Rangers. But so you all eyes on Carter-Vickers. We'll be looking at Dalziel Maeda to see if he is fully okay after banging into the post. But quarter of the game gone and still goalless. Who would have thought it?
Was it just me, Hugh, or did you think the Celtic manager bristled a little bit when asked about Cameron Carter-Vickers yesterday?
For sure he did. He had a mate in the answer, which is always a sign that Ange is looking at you. And if he says mate, he didn't like your question.
Yeah, he's just such a key player for Celtic, and they interchange, they make so many changes to their team, but Cameron Carter-Vickers is one of the few players that you'd think Celtic fans would think, you know what, there's a lot of rotation going on, but you'd rather just have him in at all times.
Yeah, they've got a terrific back four, obviously. If you were going to really worry about losing one, I think it would be Carter-Vickers. I think he's that important. I think he keeps the back four together. Everything about him. He's a terrific defender. But you talk about worrying about injuries and whatever happens here before next week. Ange Postecoglou could have easily today mixed that team around.
Yeah.
They're very comfortable. They're at home with Motherwell, who's sitting in and doing okay. But he's got plenty of talent he could have mixed about. Brought in maybe the young lad Vata in the wide area, giving him a game because he's got good talent. But he seems to go with his strongest side. He just believes, look, I'll deal with next week when next week comes. It's all about here and now. And he's put out a very strong side.
Check in on that teaser again, Hugh.
Yep. Very, very simple. Tell me the last 8 Celtic players to score a league hat-trick.
Easy as that. Answers at Clyde SSB. All in one tweet, please. We have Eric, who has said Chris Commons.
He's not there.
Rio Hatate.
Not there either.
We've got a lot of correct answers coming in, I think. Certainly there's a lot. Make sure they're all in one tweet though. But yeah, I've seen Dembele mentioned by a couple in there.
Well, the time factor. Dembele's been away for a while, and Celtic have multiple goal scorers.
Yeah, there's a few clues for you. We've got one of these.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Celtic 1, Motherwell 0, and it's Callum McGregor with the goal. 23 yards out, about 23 yards out, deflected and into the back of the net. Celtic take the lead at Celtic Park, 1-0 up against Motherwell.
Callum McGregor wanting to atone for his mistake at Kilmarnock last Sunday, which cost Celtic a goal. That was something that you never see from the captain. But the goal today, another reason why people will say Hatate gets the headlines, Kyogo gets the headlines, but the captain is unbelievably consistent.
Another one of these.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
St Johnstone 1, Hibs 0, and it's Stevie May. It's a bicycle kick. David Marshall probably should have done better, but St Johnstone have the lead against Hibs, and that'll be a worry for Hibs because the players certainly won't know what's going on in the other games. And a big goal for St Johnstone as well, as they look to distance themselves from the bottom end of the table, especially Ross County.
What's going on, Andrew, with these teams chasing the top six? We're tipping them to win their games. St Mirren losing, Hibs losing, Livingston losing. The pressures just get too much for them all.
It's like the top of the Scottish Championship, just no one wants it. No one wants it.
I tipped St Johnstone. I fancied them.
You did?
Interim manager bounce. That seems to be the new phrase going about. Steve MacLean in the dugout, changed one or two things. Stevie May come out this week, surprisingly, and talking so highly of Steve MacLean. And what happens? Pops up with a bicycle kick goal today. 1-0. I fancy St Johnstone strongly.
Yeah, just seen that Celtic goal back again. Callum McGregor, a shot from the edge of the box, deflects off the ankle of Callum Butcher, wasn't it, and takes it away from Liam Kelly.
If you don't buy a ticket, you're not going to win the raffle, Andrew. I usually get to pick goal of the weekend on a Monday night, and just to mix things up, we're swapping nights next week with Hugh, so that's an early contender for you, Hugh, for Monday night.
Yeah, but a long way to go, and you did promise us goals, Roger, so they're now starting to come in.
Yeah, they are indeed. And Stevie May, a bicycle kick, that one might be in your selections as well. A few goals down the divisions. FC Edinburgh 0, Kelty Hearts 1. Aaron Darge with the goal for the visitors. Peterhead 1, Clyde 0. Jordan Brown scoring for them. Stirling Albion are 1-0 down to Annan Athletic. Chris Johnston with the goal there. Stirling Albion, of course, chasing a title. And 4-0, Bonnyrigg Rose 1. Neil Martinuke with a penalty 27 minutes into that game.
Well, it's not going to plan, is it? There was a title party planned for Forth Bank this afternoon. They only needed a point at home to Annan, but they're losing.
Still time to go, Roger. Still time to go.
Peterhead giving us a chance as well to stay up.
Yeah, I think Stirling Albion have their Player of the Year dinner lunch tomorrow as well. I think they'd rather go into that with the title wrapped up.
We'll
see what state the players are in. If they
How do you know that?
How do I know that?
That's great journalism. How do you know that?
Just know these things. That's all.
Brilliant. What do you do? Go up on a Saturday morning and go, wonder who's got the Player of the Year on a Sunday. Oh, there you go. Stirling Albion. Give that a mention.
I just socialise. I chat to people, Gordon. That's it.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
okay.
I don't just sit in my recliner and watch Netflix all day.
Communication. Yeah, well, that's fair, Andrew. But great info there.
Hey.
Did you know that, Roger?
I did not know that. No, we've been snubbed again. We didn't get invitations, did we?
Jamie McGrath, his cross cleared before Niskanen could pounce on that one. There was a challenge from Blair Spittle. He was late on Kyogo, but Kyogo is all right. And there's a big goal in the Championship. Hamilton 0, Partick Thistle 1. Brian Graham with the goal for the Jags. Going well under Chris Doolan.
I told you they're coming up in the fences. They're a late runner. They've found a bit for them at the right time, getting goals as well. They're a danger.
Well, we spoke too soon about Stirling Albion. They are already level. It's a goal by Max Kilsby, or an own goal it was by Max Kilsby, that has them level against Annan.
Never in doubt. Champagne's on ice again.
There we go. It's back on. Party's back on.
Happening.
The crowd at Celtic Park, while sitting in the sunshine and loving the fact that they're a goal ahead through Callum McGregor, they've looked at Maeda banging himself off a post. They've looked at Kyogo going down there. They must be thinking, take them off and put on O and Rocco Vata or whoever, and have these two wrapped in cotton wool for you know what, you know when.
A Hibs chance, ball in the left from Lewis Stevenson. Nisbet tries, hooks it over his head, but it's an easy catch by Remy Matthews. In the St Johnstone goal, Hibs still 1-0 down, 1-0 in all of our featured Premiership games today, and it was a 6-1 win by Hearts against Ross County earlier on today.
Feeling a bit old, Roger, when you see Rocco Vata, and you were there and I was there when Rudy Vata came here and played for Celtic.
Yeah, feeling a little bit old, but then I just look either side of me and I just feel young, vibrant and refreshed again.
How do you think I feel across the desk? I feel absolutely brilliant standing here.
I don't like to burst your bubble, but you are old.
Yeah.
Don't feel a bit old, you are old.
Yeah. I remember Willie Maley, never mind Rudy Vata.
Willie Maley.
We touched on that Albion Rovers goal early, but all the teams down there at the bottom of League 2 have suddenly woken up. Bonnyrigg leading as well as Stranraer, who lost 8-0 at East Fife last Saturday, sacked Jamie Hamill, brought in Scott Agnew. They're getting the new manager bounce as well, 1-0 up at home to Elgin.
Yeah, indeed. Just looking at the Premiership table as well, as it stands, there is absolutely no movement whatsoever because St Mirren, Hibs and Livingston all losing 1-0, and Motherwell as well. St Johnstone, Dundee United, Kilmarnock. It really doesn't make good reading for Ross County, does it? Because at this point you'd be 4 points adrift of Kilmarnock in 11th, 4 points adrift of Dundee United, and then what would that be, 8 points adrift of St Johnstone as well. So I think Malky Mackay and his players will be hoping that when they're on their way back up to Dingwall that those results will be changing.
You can't. Roger was talking to me before we came into the studio about watching Ross County take 4 off Dundee United in the earlier part of the season and really looking impressive. You just never know I mean, Hearts were nailed on for third place and then lost 6 games in a row. Hibernian last week winning their first game after 4 defeats, and now they're losing again. There's nothing predictable in this league.
Inconsistency in our league is incredible.
Yeah.
Except for Celtic, obviously. The record speaks for itself.
Big one of these in the Premiership.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
St Johnstone 1, Hibs 1. Hibs back level in this game. It was Stevie May with a bicycle kick that opened the scoring, and at this point it was a ball in from Ewan, and it was Lewis Stevenson with a shot from the left of the box to put Hibs back level in Perth.
Well, Lewis Stevenson is, by the simple fact of having played so many hundreds of games for Hibs, he's a club legend, and that sounds like a very tense, fraught afternoon in the Perthshire countryside.
Many games he played, Roger, come on, you'll know.
I think it's about between 500 and 550.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Now Stevenson's Rockets brought them level at 1-1 at Perth.
Yeah, incredible service to one club. Brilliant. Good player.
Well, that would move Hibs into 5th if results stay the same. St Mirren down to 6th, but of course it all hangs on Livingston. If they lose their game to Dundee United, or even if they draw it, then they will not finish in the top 6, and it'll be Hibs and St Mirren in there as well. And just on top of the financial rewards as well, the chance for Europe as well, because it's so tight in there. You know, St Mirren, Hibs, Hearts, Aberdeen, they'll all have hopes that they can finish as high as possible in that top 6. Well, up to 3rd.
Yeah, absolutely they will. And I think the post-split fixtures out at the start of next week, Andrew. There'll be some fascinating games in there, Hibs and Hearts and Aberdeen and St Mirren potentially all going head to head. And then this scrap for survival at the bottom, which not looking good for Ross County the way things are at the minute, but they will have a chance to redeem themselves with those games against Kelly and against St Johnstone and against Dundee United.
We talked about Celtic wingers and injuries. We know Abada's out. We know that Jota's out as well. Maida was down earlier on, looks okay, but Haksabanovic is down injured now, looks in pain. According to David Friel, that'll be one that will be a concern for Celtic fans, just given their injury list in that position of the park.
All of a sudden it's crept up on us, the number of Celtic players who are on that injured list. And Haksabanovic, although not a regular, has become more important because of the other wide men who have dropped out through injury, and it really wouldn't be good for Ange Postecoglou to have any more. It would also down Haksabanovic without anyone being near him, as if he's twisted something.
Yeah, it's never good when it's a sort of non-contact injury, is it? It's always one that will get supporters and staff worried as well. He's limping off to the side now, Sead Haksabanovic.
There's no point taking any chances on him. He seems in a bit of pain. You know, if there's any doubt, you've got young Vata. And now, he showed when he's come on, he's got bags of skill. He's very, very good player, a young kid. He's just waiting for a chance. This might be the afternoon just to give him his run out and say, listen, go and book yourself a place in the semi-final. I don't think Postecoglou would be frightened at all to put that young lad in.
And he seems to be okay though, Haksabanovic. He's up and coming back on now, so we'll see if he manages to last the 90 minutes, or certainly up to around the 62nd minute is it that Ange Postecoglou makes his wholesale changes normally.
But the bench isn't quite geared for wholesale change today. You know, Rocco Vata is young and largely untried. Ben Summers is there, largely untried.
Big goal on Paisley.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 2, and it's Christian Doidge with the goal. So this was meant to be a day of celebration for St Mirren. They were meant to be striding into the top 6. It looks as if they may well limp over the line because they're only, well, they're 2-0 down now, but thankfully for them, Livingston are losing to Dundee United, so it means they will still be in the top 6 come the end of the day if results stay the same.
I said to you before kick-off, only a fatalist would look at that match and think this will be the day when Kilmarnock, who haven't won away from home all season, finally win. And fate at the moment appears to be holding its hand over the Smiza Stadium.
And naturally, Hugh, the focus will be on St Mirren losing on their big day.
Yeah.
What a result this is for Kilmarnock. They've taken 2 points away from home all season,
and now they might get 3.
And I don't think they've won away from home on a grass pitch in the top flight since the year 2021.
My goodness.
I feel my prediction that St Mirren will win comfortably is coming back to bite me somehow. I don't think that's happening.
This is not what Celtic fans want to be seeing either. Carl Starfelt down now. It was a challenge from Kevin Van Veen, so we'll see if he manages to get up and play on like Sead Haksabanovic did and Dyson Maida did earlier on. There's a goal for Hamilton in the Championship. They're now 1-1 with Partick Thistle. Dan O'Reilly scoring for them, and there has been, I mentioned earlier on, that display from St Johnstone supporters. It says, "You made the impossible dream our reality. Thank you, Callum," which maybe would have gone down a bit better 5 minutes earlier before they conceded against Hibs. But it's a good message, because I was saying earlier on, it's a bizarre situation. You don't get it all that often when a manager is sacked, yet there is still that good feeling towards him from supporters. But it was massive what he achieved.
We in this business write or speak about football in a cold, calculating manner, but there's a human side to football, and Callum Davidson gave everything for St Johnstone and wrote himself into history, and I think indelibly wrote himself into history by winning 2 cups for St Johnstone in a single season. More than the club had ever won before. Tommy Wright had got them a Scottish Cup, and that was that in terms of major trophies. So Callum Davidson achieved the miraculous for St Johnstone, but his numbers, to use the modern day word, did not stack up, and the club took a chance because they feared being relegated. But he will have his place in history for all time.
Well, Carl Starfelt will continue. He is up and ready to go. I think he was getting a bit of strapping there on his hand or his wrist.
Didn't look a lot in a challenge,
no.
to be honest with you, but he's obviously landed a bit awkwardly, but he looks like he's fine. He's taped up. You go back to Callum Davidson. Management's strange now, especially in the Premier League. There's only, 4 clubs that's not changed the manager this year. You know, the minute you get a run of bad results now, you can have the argument, because a St Johnstone fan come on, I think it was Tuesday when Mark and I were on, and he came out with a lot of stats about how bad St Johnstone's run's been and not won at home, not seeing the team win at home and whatever. You just wonder, is there a bit of loyalty for what Callum's achieved at the club worthwhile? Or, as Hugh quite rightly said, if you look at the results and look at the way things are going, was it time for him to part? But it's great to see that the fans, you know, usually when a manager leaves, it's, you know, it takes a lot of flack and criticism. Great to see the supporters thanking Callum Davidson for his services.
You saw Stevie Brown's statement on Sunday when he sacked him. The parting sentiment being, Callum Davidson is and always will be a legend at St Johnstone Football Club, and it's nice the fans are showing that today.
And Stephen Brown and Callum were very close as people, but business is business, as they say.
Queen of the South 2, Montrose 2, Craig Brown with a goal there. The 10 men of Montrose have won, or drawn at level.
He must be a fair age now, Craig Brown.
I would have thought so.
Oh yeah.
I bet he's just playing off a number 10 position. He's not doing a lot of running.
There's a wayward header from Bruce Anderson for Livingston. Their first real effort of the game. It was a cross from Kelly into the box.
I need to correct myself. You've actually just checked this stat. Kilmarnock's last away win on grass in the Premiership, December 2020.
December 2020.
Nearly 2.5 years.
Yeah, and I think overall it's been over a calendar year since they've won away from home, because they didn't win away from home towards the tail end of the Championship last season either.
You talk about their numbers, haven't won back-to-back games this season, which is still the case even though they're up today. They lost to Celtic last Sunday. This is the real fatalistic one now. You know, you've got that huge crowd inside the stadium at Paisley, and the unthinkable is happening.
I mean, it's 2 points from a possible, 48
Yeah.
in away games in the Premiership this season, which is quite incredible. So it'll be interesting to get the picture at half time from Fraser Wishart to see what has been going wrong for St Mirren and right for Kilmarnock, whether it seems as if maybe nerves are setting in because it's a big day and it has the feeling of it because there's a sold out crowd there, or whether it's just a case of Kilmarnock having a good day.
Well, I refer to my learned friend Gordon Dalziel. Is it now beyond St Mirren when you thought they would win comfortably?
Well, the next goal's got to be the all-important one, because obviously goals change games very, very quickly. But Kilmarnock in a driving seat. They've got good experienced players in there. Derek's obviously got them well organised. I did not think they'll get anything at all. I feel for St Mirren, because you get to a position, all of a sudden you got a full house there. The most important thing is when you get the audience in, make sure they come back. And by bringing them back with good, attractive football and winning games, all of a sudden, it's not even half time, they find themselves 2-0 down.
Check in on that teaser again, Hugh.
Very, very simple teaser. Name the last 8 Celtic players to score a league hat-trick. The last 8 Celtic players to score a league hat-trick.
Bailey has gone for Matt O'Reilly.
Not there.
He's gone for Hyung-Ju Oh.
No.
Trying to see if there's any other ones. Scott Sinclair, there's a shout for in here, as well as Patrick Roberts. I think timing is off on those, aren't they?
Scott Sinclair was on the Roger Hanna original list, but
we've got them. We've got them.
Got them now.
Yep. I just come in with a late run. Is that the one? Is that the one?
Nope, he's wrong as well.
All right, okay, I didn't come in with a late run then.
Celtic not happy with a challenge from Kevin Van Veen on Maida. There was no foul given by the referee. Postecoglou with his arms up in the air, unhappy. Have you finally got that?
No, that's wrong as well.
Still not.
Oh no, tell you, he is on the list, but
so you had another one wrong as well then? Is that right?
I saw us get 9.
No, we've got 8.
8.
Well, you need 8, so one of them's definitely wrong if you've got 9.
You're throwing in a bonus ball. We're fine, we've got the 8. We've got them, Roger. Yeah, here we go.
You just never know though, because you and the Mushroom were asking Thursday for 11 answers and there was 12.
Exactly, and I got the 12.
You just never know.
No,
you get the 12 because I texted him it.
Oh, so you did. It was a good text.
Well, I think those at home have been doing well, but still a chance for you to get in, get your answers in at Clyde SSB if you've got the answers of the last 8 Celtic players to score a league hat-trick. David Friel was going on about Kyogo's goal-scoring exploits as well. I think
one shot of 50.
I saw a graphic the other day, and it was Celtic players' goals scored in their first 2 seasons at Celtic Park. I think, is it 57 Henrik Larsson got in his first 2 seasons? Can you see him chasing that down?
Well, listen, he's got every chance. I think the second to that was Gary Hooper in 51, and third to that was Scott McDonald in 50. So you could certainly see him getting past Hooper and McDonald, and then can he catch the King of Kings and get 57 goals in his first 2 seasons? The way he's scoring goals just now, you wouldn't put it past him. But listening to you on the show last night, I think I see his problem today. It's too sunny.
Yeah, football can't be played in sunshine.
It amazes me as well. Did you not hear this on the show the other night, that Hugh doesn't like when football is played in nice sunny conditions. He wants it gloomy and why? Why?
No,
because it just adds to the occasion. I want floodlights, and if I can't get floodlights, I want dark skies.
That's spoken like a man who no longer goes out and covers games in the stand, because Roger and I would love it to be sunny and warm, and we get maybe a handful of games a season where you can turn up and you don't need to put your thermals on.
Wimps, the pair of you.
She's a player.
David Friel's got gloves on, he says today.
Gloves on.
But it's the sunshine, that's my problem.
But I will say, Hugh, I used to love in my day playing floodlights in the rain.
Yeah.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
At half time, can you please remind David Friel that, as well as commentating for Super Scoreboard this afternoon, he is writing the match report for the Scottish Sun. So get the gloves off and start typing.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
The last 8 players from Celtic to score a league hat-trick are James Forrest against Hibs, Kyogo Furuhashi against Dundee United, Lil Abada against Dundee United on the same day, Georgios Giacomakis against Ross County, David Turnbull against St Mirren, Mohamed El Younousi against Motherwell, Odsonne Edouard against Hamilton Accies, and Lee Griffiths against St Mirren.
Well done to those at home who got it right. There is a full podium. In third place, Richard Herries. In second place, Rhys J, 27. And in first place, Milo Lorimer, who got that correct. So well done to those. David Friel just being in touch to say that it's fingerless gloves. So you're all good. He's got his match report will be absolutely fine.
Good, we can relax now.
Tell him he got a backbone.
The half-time whistles will be going soon. Will we see any late drama in any of the games? I think there's 2 minutes added in all of the games, apart from at Celtic Park, where there's 3 added, where you'd maybe think there might be more, because there's been quite a few players down injured at Celtic Park.
It'll be very interesting to see how this game progresses for Ange Postecoglou. You know, obviously he picked a team dedicated to winning the game, but you know, players, Starfelt got a strapping on. Maeda, I have to commend him for his bravery. He's come off the post. He's been battered about by Kevin Van Veen, but he's coming back for more every time. You just wonder when Ange Postecoglou gets to the cotton wool stage.
What's Marvin Bartley thinking right now? Queen of the South 2, Montrose 3. His side are down to 10 men.
I wish they stayed at Livingston as assistant. That's what I'd be thinking if I was him. Safety and job.
Rory McAllister with that goal.
How safe would the Livingston number 2 job be, though, if you get into a Tannadice dressing room with wee Davy losing 1-0 to the United?
Yeah, that'll be
in a game you absolutely have to win.
I think they're under pressure. I think St Mirren and Hibs are very lucky that Livingston are at Dundee United, who are chasing those points. Went into the game in good form. Good result at Fir Park last week as well. So that'd be a big ask.
That will make it feel worse for Livingston, though, if results go the way they needed them to go, and they still end up losing.
I think that Livy being in the division now for as long as they have been, they are a phenomenon. They have no fan base, they have no budget, they have no outstanding players. Davy Martindale is a phenomenon.
Half time's going around the grounds. Let's go to McDermott Park, Dale Eaton. I think we've lost him. Anyway, it's half time elsewhere. We'll go to St Mirren with Fraser Wishaw.
Yeah, it's not going to plan here, Andrew. A few boos from the St Mirren supporters because of half time at St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 2. I think Kelly deservedly ahead. They've been a better team. Limited Saints to only a few chances. Look confident in the ball, and goals from Donnelly and Doige to show, and it doesn't really flatter them. St Mirren haven't tested Sam Walker in the Kelly goal at all. Been very comfortable at the back. It's a really brisk start to the game, with chances at either end, half chances within the first minute. Young David Watson to flick straight at Carson, who picked the ball up and launched it the other end of the park, where Scott Tanser got on the end of it. His cross was scrambled away by Ash Taylor, with Main and Watt lucky to put the ball in the back of the net. It was a really frantic start to the game, so much at stake for both teams. St Mirren starting on the front foot, a few Tanser corners from one. Gogic headed over, he should have done better, but then in 17 minutes Kilmarnock took the lead. Great work by Kyle Vassell, who's been excellent throughout the first 45 minutes. Signed a 2-year contract during the week and seems to be enjoying his football. Did really well on the edge of the box, twisted and turned, and so just a lovely low pass to Liam Donnelly, who burst through behind the St Mirren defence, and his low left foot shot finish into the back of the net past Carson. Huge away support and good voice. Searching for that first away victory. Vassell looking sharp, quick on the turn, and a low shot smothered by Carson as Kelly threatened to get their second, but the goal it really quietened the St Mirren supporters, and as a team they went through a period of really scrappy play, the fans making their frustrations heard. Derek McInnes looking really happy with things going well for his team on the sideline. Stuart Robinson becoming more and more animated by the minute, and with good reason, because Vassell was causing problems for the St Mirren defence. Header from 10 yards, just a yard wide, but it was 2-0 on 5 minutes, with Kilmarnock scoring. Dan Armstrong did really well on the right hand side, step over, right foot cross into the 6-yard box, beautifully flighted. In came Christian Doige to head in off Carson's right hand post. In 41 minutes, the only real chance that St Mirren had, and perhaps should have scored, it was Tony Watt. The Keanu Bacchus shot was deflected into his path. He's back to goal, controlled it really well, but 8 yards out, but hooked the ball over. That was the best chance of the half for St Mirren. You have to say, important 45 minutes ahead for both teams. Then I can think we're delighted, and he'll look for same again in the second half. But St Mirren need to get that next goal if they're going to get anything from this game and try and secure their top 6 place. Half time in Paisley, St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 2.
Let's try and go back to McDermott Park with Dale Eaton. No, I think we've lost Dale. Let's go to Tannadice, Dave Galloway.
Dundee United 1, Livingston 0. It was a low-key start to this one with play going from end to end, but not much happening. However, Dundee United went ahead on 17 minutes with a spectacular McGrath strike. Impressive work from Harkes, converted by McGrath's well-struck low drive from outside the box. Niskanen nearly made it 2-0, getting on to Fletcher's header on, but his powerful close-range effort was brilliantly turned behind by George. The hosts threatened again with McGrath's dangerous cross cleared away from Niskanen, who was all set to pounce. At the other end, Livingston weren't really posing too much of a threat despite their best efforts. Kelly crossed into the box, but Anderson's header was wayward to say the least. They did force a late corner which came to nothing, and then in injury time, they were looking better as the first half progressed. In injury time, Kelly had a free kick from about 30 yards out. He curled it up and over the wall, but it sailed over the bar as well. At the interval, Dundee United deserving their lead. It's United 1, Livingston 0.
Half time at Celtic Park. David Friel.
Half time, Andrew, Celtic 1, Motherwell 0. Callum McGregor's 4th goal this season has put Celtic ahead at the break. I think it's fair to say it hasn't been a vintage first 45 minutes from Ange Postecoglou's side against a really well organised Motherwell. Really have played their part here, but Celtic have had most of the pressure, most of the ball, and they've done more than enough to deserve the lead. McGregor has led the example in the middle of the park. He's been absolutely everywhere, and he made the all-important breakthrough in 24 minutes with a deflecting shot. All the pre-match talk was about Celtic trying to break records, goals records, points records, etc. But Motherwell came out flying, had 2 decent chances inside the first 90 seconds. Kevin Van Veen picked up a loose pass, raced down the right wing, forced Joe Hart to put a low cross away at his near post. They then forced a corner. Callum Butcher leaning back should probably have done better as he volleyed over the bar. Celtic had a lot of the ball as usual, but didn't really threaten much in the first 15 minutes. Then Callum McGregor, who'd earlier curled one over the bar, picked out Dyson, made it at the back post, but his header was saved by Liam Kelly. Alistair Johnson's been good down the right. He flashed a real good cross across goal, but there was no takers as Dyson made a crashed into the post. Celtic fans obviously their heart in the mouth here, but it was okay to continue after treatment. Celtic were up in the pressure and got the opener in 24 minutes. Callum McGregor found space to shoot 25 yards out. His drive took a deflection off Callum Butcher and it found the bottom corner. Neither could have made it 2-0 when he met a Sead Haksabanovic cross at the back post, but he was stretching as he put it wide. There have been no real chances apart from that. Haksabanovic did have a shot saved, but you do wonder, as Hugh said, if Ange Postecoglou will opt to wrap some of these key men up in Cottonville in the second half. Dyson made a Carl Starfelt and said Haksabanovic job all had treatment in the first half, all picked up injuries. They have continued, but the Celtic boss won't want to lose any players ahead of next week's Scottish Cup semi-final. Half time, Celtic 1, Motherwell 0.
We'll try and go back to McDermott Park next, and I'll give you a full roundup of today's scores at half time.
Scottish football's league leader. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Half time in today's 3 o'clock fixtures. Let's try and go back for a half time report from McDermott Park with Dalyton. No, you know what, we'll just leave that and I'll give you the half time scores from all across the country. Hearts 6, Ross County 1 was the early game. At half time at Celtic Park, it's 1-0 against Motherwell. Dundee United 1, Livingston 0, St Johnstone 1, Hibs 1, St Mirren 0. Kilmarnock 2 in the Championship. Arbroath 0, Cove Rangers 0, Hamilton 1, Partick Thistle 1, Inverness 0, Dundee 0, Morton 1, Wraith Rovers 0. In League 1, Airdrieonians 0, Dunfermline 0, Alloa 0, Falkirk 2, FC Edinburgh 0, Kelty Hearts 1, Peterhead 1, Clyde 0, Queen of the South 2, Montrose 3. And in League 2, Albion Rovers 1, Stenhousemuir 0, Dumbarton 0, East Fife 0, Forfar 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 1, Stirling Albion 1, Annan 1, Stranraer 1, Elgin 0. And I'll bring you the scores from the English Premier League as well. In the early kick-off, Fulham 2, Leeds 1, and in 3 o'clock games, Brentford 0, Aston Villa 0, Crystal Palace 0, Everton 0, Leicester 1, Wolves 1, and Liverpool 0, Nottingham Forest 0. We'll bring you the second halves next.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Volvo. Here, wherever and whenever you need them. Visit them in store or online. The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Land Rover. Here, wherever and whenever you need them. Visit them in store or online. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Entering the second halves of the games in Scotland for the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Let's try and go back to Fraser Wishart at St Mirren. Fraser, is it back underway yet?
No, Andrew, they're not. The St Mirren players have just come out. No sign of the Kilmarnock players. Maybe Stephen Robinson's had a wee go because it's probably been as poor a performance as I've seen from St Mirren at home in quite some time. And Kilmarnock have been very composed on the ball. They've been strong at the back, and Kyle Vassell has caused the big 3 centre backs for St Mirren all sorts of problems with his movement, his strength, his touch has been good. and Kelly deservedly ahead, and you get a big crowd in, the anticipation's there. St Mirren support around me saying, this is the way that St Mirren do it. They don't do it the easy way, they never make it easy for them, but there were a few boos at half time, and that's what comes when you get the fans in and you don't perform. So I think a lot more required for St Mirren, but if they play the way they did in the first half, there's absolutely no way back. It's going to have to be much better. Little composure on the ball, just playing the ball back to front, hoping it main, and what will get on the end of it. They need somebody who's going to maybe step on the ball and pass it around a wee bit and try and create a chance, because at the moment it's all Kelly. You can only see Kelly going on and getting another one.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements. Buy now, pay nothing till 2024.
Yeah, back underway for the second half. A few boos at half time, said Fraser Wishart from St Mirren fans. Does that just show maybe the pressure that's on this game, the nerves around the place?
Well, it can happen. You can be swallowed up by the occasion. You can think that you are a shoe-in. As Gordon thought, I thought myself that they would win comfortably, St Mirren, but they appear to have been swallowed up by the occasion. And when Fraser Wishart can say the only thing he can see happening now is Kilmarnock going to 3-0, then something's gone horribly wrong in Paisley.
Yeah, it's going to be a big second half all around the grounds, Roger.
Yeah, and the easiest half-time team talk I think would be at Tannadice for David Martindale saying, listen boys, Hibs are only drawing, St Mirren are losing 2-0 at home. If you can turn this round, we're going to do to somebody what Motherwell did to us 12 months ago.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I agree with Roger. I think if you're Livingston and you're looking at the results just now, it's a big second half, but it's a big ask. St Mirren, for them to get anything, I said it, they've got their packed house in there, they've got supporters excited. You've got to keep them excited, you've got to put on a performance, you've got to win this game this afternoon. But all credit so far, listening to Fraser's report, must go to Derek McInnes and his Kilmarnock side.
I think the team's still to come out at Celtic Park. David Friel, any sign of any changes?
None at all, Andrew. All 9 Celtic subs are out warming up just now, just doing the usual, passing the ball about, not doing too much strenuous stuff. And I think the teams will now be coming out at the moment, but no signs of any changes so far. But as the guys are saying, I do wonder how long Ange Postecoglou will leave it. To just inject a bit more freshness into his side, and also just to protect players ahead of the game next week.
Is there a bit of nerves around the place when players are going down, just given how big the game is next weekend?
Yeah, I think so. Celtic probably just haven't caught fire today yet, and Motherwell, giving them a lot of credit, have been very, very hard to break down. I think guys like Haksabanovic are just a little bit frustrated. They're getting, crowded at all times, and I think when you see Maida going down, Starfelt going down, I think it's only natural with such a big game, Celtic chasing the treble, that fans do start to fear, are they going to miss next week, especially when you have key players like Hatate, Abada and Jota all struggling. But for the moment, Ange Postecoglou is continuing with the same 11 for the second half.
Well, I'm not sure what Stephen Robinson would have said to his players at half time, but Fraser Wishart saying it should have been 3-0 to Kilmarnock just after the break. It was a great point blank save by Trevor Carson. It was a Rory McKenzie volley, probably should have scored, and that is not what the St Mirren fans would have wanted to see at the start of the second half.
It's quite incredible, because Kilmarnock, the stats tell you and their performances tell you, have been diabolical away from home.
And St Mirren have had a very good home record as well this season.
And with 10 minutes to go at Ibrox last Saturday, St Mirren had 2-2 with Rangers. They then belatedly collapsed down to Rangers and what they did. But I find that the progress of the game today astonishing, I have to admit. When started the second half and Kilmarnock have blown a chance to go 3 in front. What is going on?
That's said earlier in the show, Hugh. The only thing consistent about the Premiership is its inconsistency this season. How would you explain to someone that St Mirren are the only team to have beaten Celtic this season, but yet in their biggest day of the season they're losing 2-0 at home to a team that hasn't won away from home all season?
And as it stands, you've got to look at that bottom of the table, right? We never thought for a minute, if Kilmarnock, Dundee United get the 3 points and St Johnstone, it brings them right into the mix and puts them under pressure now.
Early second half goal for FC Edinburgh. They've drawn level 1-1 with Kelty Hearts. Innes Murray with the goal for them. And if you like your English Premier League football, Liverpool 1-0 up against Nottingham Forest. Diogo Jota with the goal for them.
The team's out for Wembley. Sheffield United, a few Will Kent faces. John Fleck starts, Wes Foderingham starts in goal, Max Lowe once of Aberdeen starts, but Ollie McBurney only on the bench for Sheffield United.
Big chances at both ends at McDermott Park. Dre Wright broke from a Hibs corner. His shot was saved by Marshall. Almost sneaked in but cleared away. There was also for Livingston a cross from Joel Newbley. There was no takers though. Then Hibs with a shout for a penalty for a foul on Kevin Nisbet. It's checked by VAR but nothing in it.
Well, Kevin Nisbet was a hero last week. His first ever goal in an Edinburgh derby, won it, and that might look like the result that just pushes Hibs into the top 6.
Hey, let's do this before we forget.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Now,
oh, you better be quick, Hugh, because there's a red card in one of our games. But on you go.
Well, I was just about to say an awful lot of information to absorb here. I have played alongside Stephen Davis and Adrian Mutu. I have been managed by Maurizio Pochettino and Tony Mowbray. On 2 separate occasions I joined a team on loan and made the move permanent, including my time in Scotland. I won a league and cup double in both Scotland and my home country. Who am I? I'll let you tell us about the red card and then I'll repeat.
I like that one. There is a red card for Hibs. Jimmy Jeggo sent off. It was a tackle on the halfway line on Conor McLellan. He's still down injured, but a straight red card for Jeggo. That is good news for St Johnstone, as long as Conor McLellan isn't suffering an injury there. But yeah, that's not what Lee Johnson would have wanted at all.
Or bad news for St Johnstone if you failed to beat 10 men.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's not what Lee Johnson needs. He's clinging by his fingertips to the top 6, and you really don't need players losing the discipline.
Jimmy Jeggo in the papers this morning talking all about, I've been through this before in Austria. I know what you need to get into the top 6. I know how to deal with the pressure of the playoffs. Red card.
I know what you need, and it's not me.
Come on, Hugh.
Right.
Teaser again.
Yeah.
I have played alongside Stephen Davis and Adrian Mutu. I have been managed by Maurizio Pochettino and Tony Mowbray. On 2 separate occasions I joined a team on loan and made the move permanent, including my time in Scotland. I won a league and cup double in both Scotland and my home country. Who am I?
I like that one. Get your answers in at Clyde SSB. If you head over to our Twitter, you can see the question again. It maybe makes it a bit easier seeing it written down on paper. Roger Hanna and Gordon DL will have a go at it as well across the desk from me. There was a bit of a check just on that red card, as there always is with these decisions. There was a long wait, but Jeggo now told to head down the tunnel, so that red card will stand. Hibs down to 10 men, drawing 1-1 with St Johnstone. There was a shot from Kyogo at Celtic Park, just wide. It was a good move found by Alistair Johnson. It was a swivel not far away from scoring. And then Dundee United with a couple of efforts. Behic with a run and cross after a defensive mistake. Fletcher couldn't get on the end of it, and then a few moments later lifted an effort over from 12 yards. So Dundee United pushing to get a second goal in that game to really end Livingston's chances of getting a top 6 place.
The deeper we go into these games, the greater the tension becomes. So I think we can put the kettle on for a really fraught end in 3 different grounds.
And you think it's tense down here. Think what it's like up in the Highlands. Inverness 0, Dundee 0, Buckie 0, Brecon 0. High stakes, no goals.
Yeah, maybe a bit nervy all round on a big weekend for Scottish football.
Well, Kyogo, I've just looked at that Kyogo chance. The 99 times out of 100 he scores that, and he's still that 1 goal off 50 for Celtic. So funny old game.
There is going to be an early change in the second half for Motherwell. Shane Blaney coming on for Dan Casey, and St Johnstone, it was an injury in that case, but St Johnstone almost making the most of having an extra man. It was a deep cross from Dre Wright. Stevie May headed it down at the back post. David Marshall saved well. Been a very manic start to the second half at McDermott Park. For Livingston, Newbley setting up Andrew Shinnie, a powerful shot that was held at the second attempt by Mark Birighitti.
Well, if Livingston could get a goal, what encouragement that could give them, especially with Hibs down to 10 men as well. St Mirren losing, so a great opportunity for Livingston. But I still fancy Dundee United hitting down the hill, as Mark Wilson used to say. It was his favourite, to go on and pick up valuable 3 points.
Alloa have one back against Falkirk. They went 2-0 down, but it's 2-1 To the visitors now, Stefan Skugel with a penalty for Alloa to get them back into that game.
Yeah, we said they're in pole position for that last playoff place with Falkirk and Airdrie to try and get into the Championship next season. But I noticed Edinburgh City, who won at Falkirk midweek, their FC Edinburgh, I should say now, equalised as well just at the start of the second half, as you said. So it's all up for grabs, Andrew.
Yeah, lots of excitement going on across the divisions. We'll see what's left in store for the Premiership, to see who will seal those top 6 places. And of course that defeat for Ross County earlier on, the team's looking to pull away from them at the bottom of the table. Kilmarnock still pushing to try and get that third goal. It's not going well for St Mirren and Paisley at all. It was Alan Power this time, inches wide with a curling effort. Trevor Carson slipped, just watched it go by the post there.
Yeah, that's a game that St Mirren certainly need the next goal, but every time we get a report in from Paisley, it's probably Kilmarnock that's going to seal the victory with another goal. They're obviously having a very good afternoon there. Fraser getting good entertainment, 2 goals already, still more goals to come.
Do you celebrate that? If you lose 2-0 at home to Kilmarnock but still get in the top 6, do you celebrate?
I thought you meant if you were losing 2-0 and I scored, would you celebrate? Yeah, I'd celebrate everything, Roger. So there's no team for me. It was all about me.
You're thinking top 6 bonus.
Yeah,
I don't care how we get it.
Exactly right.
Top 6 bonus.
I'm thinking another wedding planner.
There is a cliche that comes into play at times like this. If St Mirren do go into the top 6 by default, and it is, the top 6 wasn't decided today. It was decided in the 32 games leading up to today. So that would be your reason for having a little celebration.
Yeah, I think you've got to celebrate that, Hugh. 100%. It's not just on today, as you quite rightly said. You've got to think back to all the difficult games throughout the winter as well, the January, February, which is always the hard months that you've worked so hard day in, day out, and obviously in the match days to get to the top 6. So yeah, I would certainly celebrate that.
Yeah, the one thing looking ahead is they may be disappointed that it just doesn't set them up too well in terms of trying to push as high in that top 6 as possible. They would be behind Hibs. There is a big goal in League 2, Stirling Albion 2, Annan Athletic 1, and it's Jack Leach with the goal. Stirling Albion hoping to wrap up the title today, and that result would do it.
Yeah, the player of the year will go with a swing now, you would imagine, Andrew, as indeed will Gordon Duncan's family home. I would think there'll be celebrations in there tonight if Jack Leach's goal, his brother-in-law, is the one that gets the Beanos the title.
They're all there.
Absolutely.
They're all there. The family's there. I've seen photos. They're sending out photographs of the game, so they will be certainly in celebration mood just now.
Alloa 1, Falkirk 3. Liam Henderson scoring for Falkirk. Not good for Alloa. Albion Rovers 1, Stenhouse Muir 1 as well. Sean Crichton scoring for the visitors to get them back on level terms. A good few goals going on down the divisions.
I think I might drive by Gordon's house on the way home tonight just in case I can see the champagne corks popping at the front window.
I don't think she'll be in Edinburgh, but I think I've got the teaser.
Oh,
yeah.
I think I've narrowed this down.
Hold on a wee
Write
second.
it down
If I'm
then.
in here, I can't be texting you. Who's texting you?
Well, you've seen me. I've not even looked at my phone.
Are these the secrets being revealed of how Gordon DL is so good at the teaser every week?
Don't listen to this. Don't listen to this.
Hang on.
And now just a quick note from our podcast sponsor Lookers, the new name for Taggarts across Glasgow and the West. We are proud to announce that Lookers is now the new name for Taggarts. Taggarts has been part of the Lookers Motor Group for nearly 20 years, and over time, being part of one of the largest multi-franchise dealer groups in the UK and Ireland, has helped Taggarts to provide a great customer experience, value and choice to their customers across Scotland, and that's something that will never change. And now, they've decided though to change the name above the door to move forward as one. You'll find the same great service and friendly faces you've come to know at their Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms, working hard to give the best experience every time. You can now browse and shop online for your next car at lookers.co.uk and choose from thousands of used cars in stock with home delivery available. You can also discover the latest new car offers, book a test drive and book your next service online. Although the name has changed above the door, everything else is staying exactly the same, and you can still expect the same great service and friendly faces when you visit in store. Lookers, the new name for Taggarts across Glasgow and the West.
Compare cheap van insurance quotes that really do cut the mustard at mustard.co.uk. Details online, authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
Celtic 1, Motherwell 1, and it's that man again. Kevin Van Veen, a breakaway, turns Taylor inside out and scores. Kevin Van Veen has another goal for Motherwell, and it is a big goal at Celtic Park.
Well, David Friel said at half time it was not vintage from Celtic, and they have been as flat as a pancake the whole day long. The goal was a deflection, very fortunate goal for Celtic, and now they have conceded and they are not playing well, and they need to look at the bench now, because they stand to lose a game at Celtic Park for the first time this season, and that would be fitting of the kind of day we're having.
All in fairness, they're not 1-0 down.
No, but therefore the possibility exists of Celtic winning or Motherwell winning, and Celtic haven't lost a game in the league at home all season, and this is the day when strange things are happening.
Really good from Kevin Van Veen.
How good has this guy been?
It was 1-on-1. It was a great skill and brilliant finish as well, 1-on-1 with Joe Hart.
Yeah, in my family home I've got photographs of Willie Pettigrew and Bobby Graham. Van Veen may just be added to that tonight. What a terrific striker he's been.
I mean, he's so calm, isn't he, at all times, Kevin Van Veen, and the finish as well, just to lift it over Joe Hart after he's gone one way and then the other. He's tangled Greg Taylor up, who's been one of the best players in the division this season.
Emphatic finish. Terrific goal by Van Veen. 24 for the season. The top scoring Dutchman in world football, I believe.
Yeah.
He has almost single-handedly hauled Motherwell up to mid-table security, Andrew. He is in the running, whether people like it or not. He's in the running to be Player of the Year, certainly be on the short list for Fraser Wishart's PFA Scotland award, I would suspect. And if there was any doubt before, Dazzler, there's no doubt now. I'm definitely stopping at Gordon Duncan's house on the way home.
Stuart Kettlewell seems to be getting the best out of him as well.
Yeah, and you wonder actually, because it was Graham Alexander who had been his boss at Scunthorpe and worked closely with him down south. He brought him up. He actually gave him a contract extension not long before he lost his job, and you wondered when Alexander, his mentor, had left the club, whether that would have a negative impact on Van Veen's contribution to Motherwell. It's actually gone the other way. He's taken his form and his goal tally to a new level this season, and he's been one of the success stories of the Premiership season.
FC Edinburgh 2, Kelty Hearts 1. Ryan Shanley with the goal for the home side to put them 2-1 ahead. There was another chance for Motherwell there as well. It was a McGinn chance from a corner, just didn't quite connect with it, so that one wasn't troubling Celtic in the end.
Well, as I say, they've been flat and also defensively suspect. So Ange Postecoglou has some serious things to do. You know, as ever with this Celtic Rangers fixture, you don't want to go into it on the back of something that was as bad as this has been so far. So Celtic looking for inspiration in the last half hour.
Yeah, I was going to say that, because Celtic seem to just have momentum all the time, because they're constantly winning games, they're barely ever dropping points, they're always in a good mood. This is, as you say, not the type of result they'll want ahead of a semi-final. Although there is still 35 minutes on the clock.
We've been in this movie before. We've been sitting in this studio and you're thinking, yeah, Celtic are maybe struggling a little bit at Celtic Park today, it's not going well for them. All of a sudden Ange Postecoglou makes changes, Celtic get the lift and they score the next goal and usually go on and score 2 and 3 after that. So there's still a bit of football and a lot of hard work for Motherwell if they're going to get out of Celtic Park with anything.
Yeah, and Stuart Kettlewell won't be ready to accept that he's got a point until 10 minutes after the final whistle's gone. He's done his press conference and he's in the bus to Fir Park and checks it on his phone, because you're never sure you've beaten this Celtic team until the last kick of the game.
I was going to say, who would win in this fight? Both managers face to face in the aftermath of an Aina challenge on Anderson. Jim Goodwin against David Martindale.
Oh, I'd take Big Jim.
Certainly a
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
The fourth official and referee had to intervene. It was just
wee Davey needs to remember he doesn't have the Palmerston Pep at his back anymore.
That's true. Who's he brought in? Christoph Berra?
Yes.
Berra, yes.
He'll be reading a book. So
Hugh, I was going to give you my teaser.
Oh yeah.
Oh, let's see if he's got
hold on.
teaser answer.
And by the way, before anybody goes any further, and I'm fed up of this week in, week out, Roger Hannah will verify I have not been near my phone. Correct?
Absolutely.
So I may get it wrong.
Yep.
But I've narrowed it down.
Let's have a look. He's writing, and I mean, he's wrong, isn't he? He's wrong. I can't read that writing upside down.
He's wrong. Yeah.
So what you're proving there is that you've not looked at your phone and you've got it wrong.
Wrong, yeah.
So in about 10 minutes time he'll have got it right, and he'll have been looking in his phone in the last 10 minutes.
You're allowed more than one guess.
No, that's fine, I know, but I'm saying that you've got it wrong and you've not looked at your phone.
Roger, you've texted me that as well. Oh, the big build up.
League One leaders Dunfermline 1-0 up away to Airdrie. Craig Whiten with the goal. There's some changes as well. Alex Grieve coming on for Charles Dunn. For St Mirren, a change in formation. They're going to a 4-3-3. You don't often see St Mirren going to.
Well, they've got to go for it now. Got to go for it.
Yeah, David Friel also says that it looks as if Aaron Moy and O will be both coming on for Celtic as well. So that will be the changes that we've talked about that Ange Postecoglou normally does around this time.
I'm surprised it's only 2.
Yeah, and listen, there seems to be this discussion around the number of substitutions again. You know, isn't there? The people complaining at this rule that 5 substitutes are allowed. It was the clubs who voted it in. It is here to stay, and it does help Celtic and Rangers and the clubs with the deeper squads and the bigger budgets. And if Ange Postecoglou can turn to his bench and throw on Aaron Moy and O, and still have David Turnbull and Bernabe and Ralston and young Summers and young Vata to throw on to try and get the 3 points today, then fair play to him.
I was going to say, would you expect the other clubs to try and change those rules back to 3 substitutes? But it would be an 11-1 vote that would need to pass, and Celtic and Rangers would surely want to keep it anyway.
The genie's out the bottle. I think if the number of substitutions in world football,
it's just the standard now, isn't it?
It's going the other way. You know, you'll see a time when 6 and 7 become the norm.
Well, it'll be very interesting to see what difference, if any, the changes make for Celtic, because the football that we have enjoyed all season long is not there from them today. And we spent a week discussing whether, and I've listened to the programme every night, whether people from this team will get into the Seville team of 2003. Is this team better than Brendan Rodgers' Invincibles, and so on and so forth? And today they have been absolutely flat.
Lots happening down the divisions. Dundee 1-0 up away to Inverness. Lyle Cameron with the goal. Falkirk now have a 4-1 lead away to Alloa. Liam Henderson. And what do you think Marvin Bartley said at half time to his players? You know what, we're down to 10 men. Don't do anything silly. Let's try and keep ourselves in this game. Stephen Hendry's just been booked for a second time. He's off. They're down to 9 men.
Wow.
And are losing 3-2 to Montrose.
I think it's time you had a little word, Hugh, with Mr. Barclay. Clearly discipline is an issue.
Well, now it's not pass and move, it's get sent off and move quickly.
Here's a man in form, Callum Gallagher, getting a goal for Airdrie. They're 1-1 with Dunfermline now.
Scored a few goals.
Oh yeah,
got to see
lots of goals. Top goal scorer in League One this season.
Is that right?
Gallagher,
How many has he got?
Oh, I think that's about 20 now.
Is that all you get in League One now? My day was 35.
By Christmas.
By Christmas, yeah. And then just take a few months off and rest.
Exactly. That was a big goal. Lyle Cameron again. He has been huge for Dundee in the second half of the season. That looks as if they could push them towards 3 points at Inverness. They've then got Cove on the telly on Friday night. They could get very close to this championship title at long last.
What do you say though, Hugh? It's strange things happen on a Friday night in the championship.
Exactly.
You never know what could happen.
Yeah, even stranger things almost happened at Celtic Park there. Kevin Van Veen on his own just walked round every Celtic defender and had a terrific shot which Joe Hart has smothered. But Kevin Van Veen on his own has terrorised Celtic, which, as I say, the game before Rangers, you don't want serious doubts put in people's minds, but Kevin Van Veen on his own has got the better of the entire Celtic defence.
Well, after there was a bit of commotion in the technical areas between Dundee United and Livingston, I think the same has happened between Hibs and St Johnstone. A couple of bookings in there for staff on the bench. And Kyogo's been booked for a handball as he met a Maida cross. Owen Moy still waiting to come on. I think that change is just being made now, or those two changes are just being made now. O is coming on for Haksabanovic, so you'd expect O to go central. We've seen that before, and Kyogo sort of drops in to the sort of number 10 role, doesn't he? Aaron Moy coming on for Iwata, so he'll partner Callum McGregor.
I would like to see young Vata coming on.
Yeah,
I think he gives Celtic a little bit of a lift. I really do. I like him. I like the look of him every time I've seen him coming on the pitch. He's excited me. I think he's one for the future, this boy.
Kyogo on the right, says David Friel. He's moved over to that side. It will be O through the middle, and then Maida continuing on the left.
The general feeling is that Kyogo loses his effectiveness when he goes out wide. You don't get 49 goals this quickly for Celtic unless you're a very, very good conventional through the middle player like Kyogo.
If things were going bad for St Mirren, they're going even worse now. Thierry Small, second bookable offence. It was 2 yellow cards in about 10 seconds for the St Mirren wing back. So they are 2 goals down. They're a man down. It doesn't look as if they will have any way of getting back into this game. It's not going to be a good game for them, but it still could be a good day in terms of sealing a top 6 place, because Livingston are losing to Dundee United as it stands.
Yeah, so all of a sudden the crowd in Paisley are listening to a match that's taking place in Dundee. I repeat, if St Mirren make the top 6, it's not about what happened today. It's about what happened from August onwards, and they should celebrate. You don't refuse to celebrate just because you had one bad day.
Well, it certainly is a bad day. They've lost 2 goals and they've lost a man. So, and they've got what's disappointing, and Fraser touched on it as well at half time. You've got a full house in there. You get probably people coming along, for the first game, excited. It's a nice day. There's a good atmosphere. You want to keep the supporters. It's so important to St Mirren's as a club to grow as a club as well. But they've just had a disappointing afternoon. And credit to Kilmarnock.
If Stephen Robinson said he didn't want to know the scores from elsewhere, but he wants to know the scores from elsewhere now.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm always interested when a player gets booked twice in such quick succession. The first one for Thierry Small was for dissent. He was annoyed about a throw-in not going their way. Fraser Wishart said it should have been a St Mirren throw. Then the throw-in came to David Watson. Thierry Small pulled his shirt, and there we go, second yellow in the space of a few seconds.
Not good, not at all. What Stephen Robinson's needing is to try to get back into this game. I think the game is now gone for St Mirren, and they will be desperately hoping there are no signs of life in Livingston up at Tannadice, Andrew.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the cards stay in the pocket at McDermott Park as well. Dale saying a very feisty second half so far, and there is a substitution. It's going to be Henderson, Ewan Henderson on for CJ Egan-Riley, so you'd think that will be a bit of a change of shape for Hibs in that game.
Goals have dried up second half. I thought we'd have got plenty more, so come on then, we need some goals in here.
Liam Kelly down getting treatment for Motherwell at the moment. I did also see there was a red card for Dunfermline in that game against Airdrie, so Airdrie looking to finish as high up in the playoff places as possible in League One. They're 1-1 with Dunfermline at the moment, who have already got the title wrapped up. Stranraer 3-1 up against Elgin City. Scott Agnew in charge of them now.
New manager bounce.
Yep.
That's what you should do, right? I've got it. You lose one game,
just every few
sack
weeks.
a manager, bring in another
because
one.
that doesn't happen enough in football at the moment, does
No,
it?
it
Managers
doesn't.
just aren't sacked enough. That's the solution, I think, is just to do it even more.
I think managers are now going month-to-month contracts. I think sometimes it does get a bit ridiculous. It's a hard game now. You can go 2 or 3 games and then everything you've done before just goes right out the window. You come under a bit of criticism, but you've got to be big, you've got to be brave, got to stand up to that, Roger, as I did in my days gone by.
You did that with the wife, didn't you? Month-to-month contract.
Week to week. Never mind month-to-month.
Just looking at the incident that had Liam Kelly injured, it was a sort of clash with Kyogo. Can you even call it that? Certainly not sure Celtic are too convinced how much contact there was, but Liam Kelly certainly looks in a bit of pain.
Well, Kyogo's on a yellow, but yeah, he does. He certainly does. Like, we're just seeing it again.
Is it that right foot? I'm not sure. There's
I don't know if it's his own player that catches him there as he goes over Butcher. But he certainly looks in a wee bit pain, but he should be fine.
If you're watching Match of the Day tonight, I can guarantee you Liverpool versus Nottingham Forest will be first on. 5 goals in 23 minutes. 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, 3-2 Liverpool. Mo Salah.
I tend not to watch Match of the Day now. The people in here spoil it for me. I know the results.
And you're usually sleeping by 10:30.
Yeah. I tend not to watch
You're an
it.
early to bed man, aren't you?
Oh, very much
Especially
so.
on a Saturday night, I would have thought, yeah.
Then usually just go home after it. But match of the day tonight will be exciting with the 5 goals against Liverpool.
Right, what's happening down the divisions?
Shall I
there
do
is
the
a
teaser
change.
again?
Yes, let's do that.
I have played alongside Stephen Davis and Adrian Mutu. I've been managed by Maurizio Pochettino and Tony Mowbray. On 2 separate occasions I joined a team on loan and made the move permanent, including my time in Scotland. I won a league and cup double in both Scotland and my home country. Who am I?
I can see a shout on Twitter for Massimo Donati.
No.
Not Massimo Donati. Who was the wrong answer you went for, Gordon?
Pedro Mendes.
Pedro Mendes.
But I've got another one.
It's not Pedro Mendes. On you go. Show
Have
your working
have
to
you
Hugh.
written it down?
No, but I will now.
Seen a few correct answers in fairness. BW has said Vladimir Weiss.
Right, if MD knows me and I get this right, it's a big clue.
Let's see, he's writing again, and I still can't read that writing. In fact, I actually can't even read that from here.
He's got it right.
Got it right, there we go. Who's been texting Gordon DL?
Right, obviously not Roger. And Roger's my witness that my phone has not moved. Roger?
Yeah.
Thank you. You just narrow it down. And if anybody knows me out there, right, and they listen to this programme, they will know where I've went with this.
You two have been giggling away all day about something else anyway, and I don't even want to get into it. Tam McNee says Wanyama.
No.
No. And
Not
here
even.
we go. You've got an ally. Carson said Pedro Mendes as well.
Well, I was wrong. He needs to think outside the box a little bit, or inside the box.
And Gordon 11 says Yuri Yarasik.
No.
But there we go. At Clyde SSB, get your answers in. As I said, you can see the full teaser there as well, and you can give it a go. There's a goal for Dumbarton, 1-0 up against East Fife. Martin McNiff with a goal.
Goals sort of drying up in the Premiership, notably at Celtic Park. Less than 20 minutes to go now, still 1-1. That Kevin Van Veen equaliser. A good day for Dundee United, Kilmarnock, probably St Johnstone as well, because that will get them a point further away from Ross County. But a very long journey back up to Dingwall for those boys. Not even a wimpy will console them tonight.
I think the Celtic crowd are getting a bit annoyed, but not at their own team at Motherwell. They think they've been time wasting, as teams would kind of naturally start doing it at this time when they've got a result away at Celtic or Rangers. But we've also stood here before on a lot of weekends where Celtic have maybe looked as if they're possibly not going to get the win, and then it ends up being relatively comfortable at home.
I think the frustration comes from not the fact that Motherwell might be time wasting, but that Celtic have been so off it today. They look nothing like themselves. Kyogo, you could take him off. If you had somebody to bring on, you would take him off. O has made no impression whatsoever. Likewise, Aaron Moy. My money would be on a Motherwell winner.
I don't like what could follow this week, because Dale, who's at St Johnstone Hibs for us, has said that watching Jago's red card back, it was similar to Graham Shinney's last week.
Oh dear.
We don't need that fallout again, do we?
I don't think we could get down that route again. Mind
Absolutely
you,
not.
No Premiership card at the end of next week. It'll be maybe difficult filling newspapers. We maybe could take another feud like that. You just wonder what.
Speaking of red cards, by the way, Dunfermline, a second red card for them. Kevin O'Hara, serious foul play. They're now down to 9 men.
2 teams in League One down to 9, Andrew.
Yes, Queen of the South and Dunfermline.
You wonder, Hugh, if Celtic do drop points unexpectedly today, what that will mean to the people who construct the post-split fixtures at the SPFL offices, because traditionally they like to avoid the chances of Celtic winning the title against Rangers. And this post-split Old Firm game has the added, whatever you want to describe it as, of no Celtic fans going to Ibrox. Surely you couldn't put together a post-split fixture card that gives you any prospect of Celtic clinching a league title with no fans at Ibrox.
Well, they'll try to avoid it at all costs. In other countries, you would go out of your way to make that the game that could decide the title, because how much excitement can you handle? But I guarantee you it will not be a day in which Celtic can clinch a title. But today, it's a free country. Say what you like. I think there's more chance of a Motherwell winner today.
We've heard these types of predictions before.
I understand. However, Roger Hanna, what say you?
Callum McGregor is now down. He's not happy at all, though. He was caught by Harry Payton.
I
Looks to be
think
okay,
if you're
though.
Motherwell, Hugh, you will take a point and run. But I still think there's a bit of football still to go, a bit of defending. I think Celtic have been flat, especially second half. But as I say, we've been in this movie before. They can just cut you open at any time and get that goal, and then all of a sudden fall up with a couple of others. So still a bit of work to do from Motherwell, but so far 70 odd minutes, I think Motherwell organisation's been very good, and that man Van Veen has got that vital goal for him.
You talk about Motherwell running away with a point. I think Ange Postecoglou's biggest concern at the minute isn't the fact that Celtic are dropping 2 points. It's the fact that every 5 minutes a player seems to be going down injured. In the first half it was Maeda, then Starfelt. The second half it's been McGregor. There have been a few bumps and bruises.
Haksabanovic was down as well at one point.
Too. You know, with no Jota, no Hatate, no Abada already, there are concerns over Carter Vickers. Whether Ange Postecoglou wants to address those concerns or not.
The first call,
and there's a big game next week.
First call at 5 o'clock, I guarantee you, will be a Celtic supporter to say Motherwell tried to kick us off the park.
But while time wasting.
Yes, it's a conspiracy. But the main problem for Celtic today is that after a week spent discussing whether this was the best side since who knows what, they have simply not turned up. They have been very, very poor.
We talk about the split and how exciting it is made today. Oh, there's a big goal in the Championship. Inverness 1, Dundee 1. And with Queen's Park and Ayr drawing last night, it would have been a big win for Dundee today. They could still get it, 15 minutes to go, but Inverness now drawing level with Dundee.
Thistle drawing 2, still 1-1 at Hamilton. This is a league nobody wants to win, Andrew.
What an end to the season it'll be, because after today there's only 2 games left.
And last day of the season, Queen's Park versus Dundee at Ochilview.
What a game that's going to be. What a game that is
the
going
Friday
to
night,
be.
Dad, you could go.
No thanks.
Okay.
There is Cameron Carter-Vickers' header has been saved at the back post. Probably should have scored. Celtic going close there. There's now a Motherwell player down as well. Just thinking about the split, we've talked about how exciting it is made today, and the game at Paisley between St Mirren and Kilmarnock, the big crowd. Are one team that will feel a bit annoyed about the split this season, is that Motherwell? Just based on the form they're in at the moment, they'll feel that if they could continue that until the end of the season and there was no split, they could potentially get into that top 6.
As Hugh says, if St Mirren make the top 6, it is down to not what they've done today, down what they've done, their body of work from the end of July, start of August last year. So if Motherwell miss out on the top 6, it's not to do with the great run they've had under Stuart Kettlewell lately or the point they might get this afternoon at Celtic Park. It's to do with the fact that for a long period of the season they were rank rotten. And Daz, as a dyed-in-the-wool Motherwell supporter, will tell you for a long time he was worried about getting down to the Championship, not up into the top 6.
Your overriding feeling, if you're a Motherwell fan, should be gratitude, because on the night that they went out of the Cup to Wraith Rovers and got rid of Stevie Hamill from the manager's job, they were level on points with Dundee United and only above them in the league table on goal difference. They are now secure, and they are giving Celtic a torrid time of it today at Celtic Park, and will of course remain in the division. So it looked bleak, it looked desperate, but in Stuart Kettlewell they found someone who calmly turned it all round. So your overriding feeling should be gratitude that it all turned out okay in the end.
You'd have bitten your hand off. Of course you would have.
Yeah.
Because at one point, I've got to be honest, I thought Motherwell were heading for a championship the way they were playing, their home record, just things that you couldn't score goals. They were absolutely dreadful. Roger was right to criticise them, but there's a little bit of luck going as well, with the winning mentality, the way that Motherwell are playing. Van Veen's a threat now. Wee bit of luck, you've seen it there. Carter Vickers really back post. You'd expect him to burst the net with that. Motherwell got away with one.
Time for the youngsters at Celtic Park. Rocco Vata coming on for Matt O'Reilly and Lennon Miller coming on for Harry Payton. Just Is he still 16, Lennon Miller?
Yeah.
Lee Miller's son?
Yeah, I think so. Highly talented Scotland Youth International
He came
midfielder.
on at Ibrox against Rangers as well.
Yep, there's
so
2 or 3
certainly
kids.
very highly rated by Motherwell.
Yeah, and there's 2 or 3 kids coming through as well. They got a glimpse of the first team under Stevie Hamill. They'll get it again under Stuart Kettlewell. We joke earlier on about the new manager bounce, but the difference in a short period of time that Stuart Kettlewell has made at Motherwell has been absolutely terrific. He's done a fantastic job. They look, just even the way they're set up, they look like a different team. The results they've got of late have been those of a different team, and they're not going to make the top 6, Andrew, you know that. But I think if he can continue this feel-good factor until the end of the season, I think there'll be a lot of positivity about where he might be able to take Motherwell next season.
One of the players that's really sort of shone since Kettlewell came in is Max Johnson at right back. That will be a concern for them, though. His contract is up this summer.
Yeah, and he'll go. He will go. I remember his father Alan leaving the country many years ago out of contract at Hearts, went and took a gamble to go and play for Rennes in the French First Division, did very well, and you could see young Max doing something similar. There's been interest, Premier League clubs, Championship clubs down south, the likes of Bologna and the continent, who have come and taken Scottish talent before, like Aaron Hickey and Lewis Ferguson. They're looking at him too. So I think Max Johnson will move on. It's a shame for Motherwell. They'll lose a good player. They'll only get a relative pittance in the compensation payment. But listen, we can only wish the lad well next season.
Carl Starfelt has a header saved. It was Aaron Moy's free kick. The centre back with a header, but that one was saved by Liam Kelly, who seems to have recovered. He was limping about a bit at one point, but he's okay now. And St Johnstone really putting the pressure on as well against the 10 men of Hibs. Lots of balls played into the Hibs box, but nothing has troubled David Marshall so far in the second half.
It's been quite a flat second half, you've got to say. I was waiting for a lot of, as it stands, excitement, the goals going in. Certainly hasn't happened so far.
Yeah, they only changed the league table at the moment across all 12 positions because of the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Would be Hibs moving above St Mirren at this point. Hibs drawing 1-1, St Mirren 2-0 down to Kilmarnock. They'd both be on 44 points, but Hibs with a better goal difference than St Mirren, and Livingston would need to score twice to get into the top 6. They would replace St Mirren, so the nightmare results for St Mirren could still technically be on if Livingston can kick themselves into gear, but it would take a lot of doing to win that game 2-1 away to Dundee United.
Yeah, went into the last 10 minutes, it really would. We spoke about the cruelty of Livingston missing out last year when Ricky Lamy scored that goal for Motherwell in the 93rd or 94th minute at the Tony Macaroni. If Livy turned this round to their favour with 2 goals in the last 10, I think for drama that would even eclipse what happened last year.
Red cards all over the place today. It's Tom Lang this time at Wraith Rovers, sent off for a second bookable offence, and Scott Hooper at Annan as well, sent off 5 minutes to go in both those matches. So
they'll be getting ready to party at Fourth Bank.
They will indeed. They absolutely will. Stirling Albion
deserve champions
closing in
as well.
on that League 2 title.
Haven't lost, I think, since the 3rd of December. If you can get a run like that going at this time of the season, you deserve to be champions.
Absolutely. We'll see how many of the players even make it to their Player of the Year bash tomorrow afternoon.
Very surprising, son. The days have changed. Used to be a Saturday night after a game, Player of the Year. My day, we used to pick the award up.
But what did we say about the nightmare results for St Mirren? Livingston needed a goal.
Goal flashes with Clyde Built Home Improvements.
There is a goal in that game, but it's for Dundee United. It's Stephen Fletcher with a cool finish set up by Kai Fotheringham, and you've got to think that goal will secure a top 6 place for both Hibs and St Mirren.
Andrew, I'm in a group chat with some pals, one of whom is a St Mirren season ticket holder and is chewing his fingernails at the ground. And about 5 minutes ago,
Is it Fraser Wishart by any chance?
No, another gentleman on the same group chat text him to say, I'm listening to Super Scoreboard and Livingston have just equalised.
I'm glad I reeled someone in there.
Yeah, well, listen, the Super Scoreboard can assure you that St Mirren will be in the top 6. Hibs will be in the top 6.
Apologies out there to St Mirren fans, that was a bit harsh of me.
Congratulations.
What's a group chat?
Can't get those on your Nokia, can you?
No.
When
that emergency thing goes off on everyone's mobile phone in the country at 3 o'clock tomorrow, I guarantee you one phone will not have that emergency go off.
What is going on with red cards? Lewis Vaughan now sent off for Wraith Rovers. That's their second red card in a matter of minutes. They're now down to 9 men. Tom Lang sent off in the 85th. Lewis Vaughan now sent off in the 87th minute. It's all happening.
Well, where it's not happening is Celtic Park, where it's petering out now. I think it would be Celtic's least impressive display since they lost 2-0 to St Mirren in Paisley.
We were talking earlier on in the show, Celtic don't miss Hatate and they don't miss Jota and they don't miss Abada because they've all these players coming in. But we'll have callers at 5 o'clock in the open line who will say, get Hatate back quick, get Jota back quick, because the team missed them today.
We've had a look at the underbelly, and the underbelly's not as great as we thought.
Albion Rovers have a third against Stenhousemuir. They're 3-1 up. Jamie Leslie with a goal, 8 minutes to go in that game. And we will be closing in on the full-time scores in the Premiership soon, so we should probably round this one up, Hugh.
Yep.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I have played alongside Stephen Davis and Adrian Mutu. I have been managed by Maurizio Pochettino and Tony Mowbray. On 2 separate occasions I joined a team on loan and made the move permanent, including my time in Scotland. I won a league and cup double in both Scotland and my home country. I am Artur Boric.
Artur Boric. Gordon DL did get it in the end. Claims that no one texted him the answer.
Well, if someone texts me the answer, I wouldn't have gave a wrong answer at the beginning.
I'm giving you too much credit there, in fairness. There is a podium as well. Third place, Daniel Miller got it correct. DJ in second place, but in first place, the person who got it the quickest today was Paddy. Congratulations.
Where did Artur
to you.
Boric play under Maurizio Pochettino, Roger?
I actually don't know.
Yeah,
that's a good question, actually. Southampton.
Southampton.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that would be right.
For God's sake, lads, no wonder you can't get the teaser. Come on.
Hamilton with a big goal against Partick Thistle. Dan O'Reilly, is that his second of the game? I think it might be, to put them 2-1 up against Partick Thistle. That is huge with a minute to go in that game.
Artur Boric, of course, a former teammate of Mark Wilson. And I see from Victoria Park, 4 minutes to go. Bucky 0, Brecon City 1.
There we go. You know that Mark Wilson's not in charge anymore.
Oh, that's a bit cool. Oh, right below the bell with that one.
He'll be listening in the app. He'll hear that.
To be fair, honesty's the best way forward.
That's true. He just needs to own it. That's it.
If they hang on, Brecon versus Spartans, a playoff, we'll go to that, Daz, won't we?
No, we won't.
Okay.
What's the change going to be here in terms of shape for Celtic? Because David Turnbull is on and Greg Taylor is off.
Wow.
I don't know what that means at all.
Just a
great analysis from us there.
Could it be a 3 at the back while Alistair Johnson tuck in with the 2 centre halves, and Celtic will get the width from maybe Vata on one side and I'm not sure who on the other.
I tell you what, Kilmarnock, a back 2, says David Friel.
Wow,
that's what they're going for.
Does David Friel get the gloves off?
We'll see. He's certainly typing away to us there. Heads wide at Celtic Park. 6 minutes of stoppage time in Paisley. That's probably because Kilmarnock players dropping like flies. It could be a big result for them today. However, this won't be good news for Derek McInnes moving forward, because Fraser Wishart told you that Joe Wright pulled up in the warm-up pre-match. He didn't play. Vassell and McKenzie have gone off due to injuries. Ash Taylor now limping with a hamstring injury as well. So going into those post-split fixtures, that's not the injury crisis that Derek McInnes would have wanted.
No, and there'll be big post-split fixtures, because we could talk about Ross County beginning to look isolated in 12th place, but everyone will want to dodge that 11th place as well. You do not want to get into a playoff because they're tense, they're nervous, they're difficult.
Hamilton 2, Partick Thistle 2 in the second minute of injury time. Stephen Lawless with the goal has drawn them level, and it will be all over at Stirling Albion. Annan, they needed... Well, it was just a point they needed today to wrap up the League 2 title. They will get all 3 because Flynn Duffy has made it 3-1 in the 91st minute of that game. I'm sure everyone associated with Stirling Albion will have a good night tonight.
I would have thought so. They deserve it, as we said earlier on. They've been the best team in that division by a distance. They've had some great players. I think Dale Carrick's got 25 goals this season. Jack Leach has been a terrific addition as well. They had young Kai Fotheringham, who's playing for Dundee United this afternoon. He was so impressive for them in the first half of the season. Flynn Duffy, who's just scored the third goal on loan from Dundee United at the minute. And you have to say well done to Darren Young and the players. Enjoy your night, enjoy your day tomorrow, and probably enjoy 2 or 3 days at it. Well done.
Big goal for Jim Duffy. Peterhead 1, Clyde 1. A goal in the 92nd minute draws them level.
I've got to say, how has not put Celtic in front is totally beyond me. Vata, I told you about this guy. Keep your eye on him. He's one for the future. He goes down the right wing. Terrific ball onto the head of O. 4 or 5 yards out. Just put your head on it and put it back in net. How he has missed that, I have no idea.
Same as last Sunday at Rugby Park. Rocco Vata with a magnificent ball into O. Slap bang in front of goal, and he put it wide in front of Jurgen Klinsmann, who had come looking for a striker and left still looking for a striker.
Well, a few minutes ago, it really wasn't looking good for Paul Hartley's Cove Rangers with Hamilton winning. They were drawing at Arbroath. Hamilton now pinned back in the 92nd minute by Thistle, and Cove have scored at Arbroath. Suddenly, they're back in with a chance of survival.
Absolutely. What an exciting end to the Championship season it's going to be. Will there be an exciting end to the game at Celtic Park, because there are 7 minutes added. 7 minutes to go. Will there be a winner?
Yes.
Can Celtic get it? You're calling it now, there's going to be a winner?
Well, I'm just for no other reason than it gives us a bit of debate with Hugh, who says there won't be a winner.
Right. Well, I said that if there was going to be a winner, it would be from Motherwell. That's what I said.
How are the Akas looking?
I had Celtic to win at home. That's gone. Kilmarnock to lose at St Mirren. That's gone. Dundee United to win. That's up. And a draw, St Johnstone Hibs. So I have 2 right so far.
2 out of 4.
To be fair to you, you did a 451 in the sweep for when Daz would dive into the Rocky Biscuits.
Well,
the only one I got right was Hearts.
It's also great. I was going to say, it's also great. It's also great radio, you just chewing straight into your microphone as well. That's fantastic. How many years have you been doing this?
A long time, and I'm quite hungry, so I needed a wee Rocky biscuit.
The worst ASMR that anyone has ever heard. The full-time scores are going on around the division.
That's a big goal from a former Scotland centre forward, Chris Martin, for QPR away at Burnley.
Oh yeah,
I think Burnley could have sealed the title today, couldn't they?
Yep.
And that's a big win, because they were getting drawn into a relegation scrap.
Yeah, I think they were sitting, was it 1 place above the bottom 4 just before this one. Of course, they've been on a bit of a nosedive since Michael Beale left. I think they'd lost a few just before he left, and then it's never really recovered since then. I think we did get a capacity number from Paisley, 7,937 in the Smythe Stadium today.
Well done.
And in Perth, 6,600 and well, the information that's in front of me says 66,787, which I'm not sure that would comply with any health and safety regulation. I think 6,787, which is a good turnout there as well. It's full time between Queen of the South and Montrose. So it's a defeat for Marvin Bartley. What's that, 2 in a row?
9 men. Difficult.
Yeah, very difficult.
Jack Bryden sent off after a quarter of an hour, then down to 9. Very difficult for them. That will be the end of the playoff dream, I would suspect, this season. But it will go again.
Yeah, indeed. And we are just.
There's a former Will Kent face up here, Jim O'Brien. Once of Celtic, once of Motherwell, once of Dundee United. A hat trick this afternoon for Notts County. They're winning away at Maidstone.
And a terrific guitar player.
There you go.
Well, there we go. Full time between Stirling Albion and Annan Athletic. Stirling Albion have won League 2. Congratulations to Stirling Albion. They have wrapped up the league title. That's now 2 of the 4 divisions, the SPFL divisions, that are mathematically wrapped up now.
Yeah, in Celtic you would think if they don't win the Premiership from here, there's something far wrong. And then we've only digged down to the division that nobody wants to win, Andrew.
The Championship.
Well, there's a full-time score here, and it has big consequences. Tannadice, Dave Galloway, Dundee United, Livingston. Give us a full-time report.
Yeah, Dundee United 2, Livingston 0. Dundee United went ahead in the 17th minute with a spectacular McGrath strike. Impressive work indeed from Harkes, converted by McGrath's well-struck low drive from outside the box. Niskanen nearly made it 2-0, getting on to Fletcher's header on, but his powerful close-range effort was brilliantly turned behind by George. Livingston started to threaten as the first half progressed. Kelly crossed into the box, but Anderson's header, to say the least, was somewhat wayward, and Kelly's curled free kick from about 30 yards sailed over the bar. United started the second half brightly. Behic seized onto a defensive error but couldn't pick out Fletcher with his cross, and then Fletcher fired over from around about 12 yards. At the other end, Newbley fed Shinnie, whose powerful drive from distance was saved by Birigiti at the second attempt. The temperatures rose in both dugouts following Aina's challenge on Anderson. It sparked a frank exchange of views between the managers, with the fourth official and the ref both intervening to calm things down. Penrice's corner caused plenty of problems as Livingston strived to get back level. United got it clear, but Dundee United, in the whole, it has to be said, looked pretty comfortable overall and went 2-0 ahead after 85 minutes. Fotheringham made a real nuisance of himself and fed Fletcher, who netted with a lovely cool finish. So 3 wins in a row for United for the first time since October 2021. But it's bottom 6 football for Livy. Dundee United 2, Livingston.
And we know what that means in Paisley. Fraser Wisher.
It does. I mean, St Mirren have got the top 6. A bit of a flat celebration, to be honest, but they've made it into the top 6 for the first time in your history, and you saw the players coming across to the side looking anxiously for that Dundee United against Livingston result, but they have done it over the season and I think deserve their place in the top 6. It wasn't supposed to go this way for this large St Mirren support. They're supposed to be in the top 6 comfortably, doing it the St Mirren way. They have secured it with their worst performance of the season, perhaps summed up by the red card for Thierry Small, 2 yellow cards in 10 seconds of madness. But I think we have to also focus on Kilmarnock's performance. They really needed a result, their first away win of the season, to avoid the drop in this great battle, and they gave their 1,600 away fans at Derek McInnes an excellent display for a deserved 3 points, and in fact it could have been more. The 2 goals came in the first half, deserved it for their excellent performance. 17 minutes, Kyle Vassell was excellent through, twisted and turned on the edge of the box. Such a lovely pass to Liam Donnelly, made a run in between 2 defenders, 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, low finish, easy pass Carson. 2 up in 35 minutes, really good play on the right hand side by Dan Armstrong. Step over as he does all the time, but this time onto his right foot, played a lovely cross into the 6-yard box, and Christian Doyle was the most aggressive to attack the ball and headed in off the post. Someone had hardly tested Sam Walker, best chance just before the break. Tony Watt controlled a deflected Keanu Bacchus shot 8 yards out, but hooked the ball over. But a very nervy performance, and fans not happy at the break, but it could have been more in the second half as Kelly again completely dominated it. Should have been 3 just 1 minute into the second half. Watson with a deep cross, Mackenzie somehow free in the back post 6 yards out. He volleyed it, really caught it ball well, but he should have scored. But a brilliant save. You have to give Carson credit for the block. He really should have scored though. And that would have finished St Mirren off. Fans worried and concerns justified. Ex-St Alan Power gave himself a yard, 20 yards out, inches wide with his curling shot. Trevor Carson has slipped and just watched the ball drift wide. Stephen Robinson tried to shake it up a bit, threw on Alex Gray for Charles Dunn, changed it to 4-3-3 to try and find a way to even test Sam Walker, but pretty much all over. 68 minutes, Thierry Small, 2 yellow cards in 10 seconds. He won the ball well on the touchline. He kicked it off young Watson. The linesman gave the throw into Kilmarnock, and rightly I think Thierry Small was aggrieved, but he threw the ball down stupidly, picked up a yellow card for dissent. From that throw, it was thrown quickly to young David Watson. He turned Small, and Small for some unexplicable reason pulled his shirt and was shown a second yellow card and a red, and the game is over. Cultworth then on from Kelly. Sub Jones cross hit Armstrong and drifted just an inch wide, and then Armstrong had a shot that was tested. Carson, a good save by the goalkeeper to left, but it was very easy for Kilmarnock, who saw the game out from there. Huge win for them. They're now 4 points ahead of Ross County at the bottom and right behind St Johnstone, and Dundee United in battle to avoid the playoffs. Good day all round for Derek McInnes. He'll be delighted with their best away performance of the season. But for St Mirren, they are celebrating. The players are going round applauding the supporters. Once they get over the poor performance and the result, they'll reflect on an excellent season. First time in the top 6 in their history. Full time in Paisley, St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 2.
Yeah, a bit of a strange atmosphere at full time, I would imagine, with both sets of fans with something to celebrate at the end there. There's another full time. It's at McDermott Park, Dale Eaton. think we're still having technical issues at Perth, so we'll go there if we can. They're still not full time at Celtic Park yet, is it? There was a Carl Starfelt header that was weak though over the bar, but it is full time now. David Frail.
Full time, Andrew. Celtic 1, Motherwell 1. Celtic have been on a relentless march towards the title, but they took a shock stumble as Kevin Van Veen's solo goal earned Motherwell a point. As I said, Ange Postecoglou said they won their previous 16 home league games. It was a perfect record, but that's now gone. Callum McGregor put them ahead in the first half, but Van Veen silenced Celtic Park with a stunning goal 10 minutes after the break. It's 24th of the season. What a season the big Dutchman's having. Celtic did press the winner. They were strangely flat all afternoon, and Ohi and Hugh missed a great chance to win it, but Motherwell held on. Celtic 13 points clear of Rangers, but a rare stumble for them. Motherwell started really well. They had 2 chances inside 90 seconds as they made a fast start. Hart booted Van Veen's low cross away at the back post. Callum Butcher then volleyed over from a corner. Celtic didn't really hit their groove to begin with, and Callum McGregor started to play. He was making them tick. He curled one over the bar, he crossed for Dyson, made his headed chance, and then grabbed the opener in 24 minutes. The ball was worked to McGregor 25 yards out. His low cross took a deflection off Callum Butcher on its way past Liam Kelly. Maida and Haksabanović's sort of half chances before the break, but Celtic couldn't find the second goal. It was the same at the start of the second half. A great move saw Alistair Johnson pick out Kyogo. He swivelled but could only shoot wide from the edge of the box. Then in 55 minutes came Motherwell's big moment as Callum Slattery's long ball found Van Veen on a break. He still had a lot of work to do. He faced up Greg Taylor, he turned him inside out, then he was faced with Joe Hart and he just dinked the ball over him to go and celebrate in front of all the Motherwell fans. What a goal it was. He had another effort not long after, but it was Motherwell who had to defend for the last half hour. Cameron Carter-Vickers should have scored with a header. Carl Starfelt then headed into Liam Kelly's arms from an Armoy free kick. Celtic did throw everything at it. Rocco Vata, he was really impressive when he came on, and he dug out a perfect cross for O at the back post. All he had to do was head it over the line, but he somehow headed it wide. Carl Starfelt also had a header in injury time that he put over the bar, but overall Celtic just weren't good enough. Motherwell deserve huge credit today. Celtic's perfect league record is gone, and it's Motherwell who come away with all the credit. Full time, Celtic 1, Motherwell 1.
And now it's over to you. 0141 951 1025 on the open line. We want to hear your thoughts on today's action. Celtic fans, what did you make of that performance ahead of next week's semi-final as well? Motherwell fans, you must be happy with that result as well. St Mirren fans, a top 6 finish for the first time since 1985. We want to hear from you. I'm sure you are delighted despite the result today. You will be in that top 6. Of course, there was lots going on. Kilmarnock with that win as well, with Ross County losing. What does that do for your chances of, hoping not to finish in that bottom spot? We want to hear from you. 0141 951 1025, and after these we'll try and get a full-time report from McDermott Park as well.